Hello, guys. We are live.
Hello, guys.
everyone.
Welcome back. Today we are talking about dystopian futures again. How fun!
This is
Right?
gonna be listen. I think it's gonna be interesting because there's
It's
always,
so interesting.
I think there's always some new way of depicting what we
Yeah.
consider to be this topic, and so that's what we're
Uh-huh.
gonna discover tonight.
And I wonder, is dystopic even a word? I think it's dystopian.
Oh, dystopian.
Maybe
yeah,
but I was saying it just before we started.
yeah,
But I was
yeah,
like dystopian.
yeah.
Dystopian, I think, is the key word. But I think maybe dystopic maybe is a word. You guys can let us know in the chat
Let
what
us
you
know.
think.
Oh well, yeah.
And
It
if you
says
guys-
this topic
It is a word, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but dystopian is much more common and preferred. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but they're both. Yeah, I knew it was a word
Mm.
because before we started, I was like dystopic.
Uh-huh.
So, you guys, this is a
dystopian.
really cool channel. We're basically just getting started with this channel. So,
Yeah.
subscribe, leave a comment below, let us know where you're watching from.
Mhm.
Leave a super chat if you feel so inclined. So,
Yeah.
tonight, Mara and I are asking a question that becomes stranger than more science fiction. The more science fiction you watch, the stranger the question gets. But why is almost every conceivable future that we show in film and television and novels, for that matter, so miserable? Like, why are they so miserable? So humanity finally reaches the future, and apparently everything has gone wrong. That tends to be the narrative. And
Yeah.
why is that the case? So we're begging a really big question here. Why are
Yeah.
we so obsessed with that? Like, the air is poisonous, the oceans are dead, the government is watching us always, the corporations own our memories, artificial intelligence has replaced your job, your spouse, and possibly your entire reality, the Matrix, among many others. People live underground or on a frozen train, inside a vault, behind a giant wall, or aboard a damaged spaceship, while the ventilation system continues contains something extremely unfriendly.
Mhm.
Like this idea that maybe there's something in the air, or there's something toxic in the air, and you're in a system that's like protecting you from the outside system.
Right.
Today we're going to be looking at some case studies from shows that are actually currently on. One of them being Apple Plus's Silo.
Yeah.
And no, this is not an ad for that show. It's just actually a good show.
Yeah.
It's a show really worth watching.
I just started yesterday, and so far it's been interesting, like really fascinating.
Yeah, I think I started the day before, right?
I think
Like the day before you did. So in these weird futures, nobody trusts the governments. Nobody trusts the company, because in a lot of these movies and television shows, there's like one corporation.
Yeah.
Or there's like a unified government.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there are multiple governments, they're around the world, they're fighting each other.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like, no, I guess that's why it feels so plausible. And nobody ever seems to have enough natural sunlight in these movies. Have you noticed that in these TV shows?
Yeah.
Very rarely do we get like just a nice stroll in the sun. I think it's because this idea that the future is so contaminated.
Yeah.
It's like so dark and grim, and people are just like
it's
like
usually
of sheer panic.
Yeah, I think there's that like usually like as you said, like a sort of thing that's preventing you from going outside, and so maybe that's kind of like another allegory for Plato's cave.
I think it is. It's definitely like the Plato's cave allegory. Yeah, absolutely.
Where you cannot see the sun.
Yeah. And so think about the futures modern entertainment gives us. Like, for example, Silo, there are thousands of people that live underground or in this silo because the world outside has become too toxic, right? Yeah. And then there's a video game and a television show, Fallout. I haven't seen the television show version yet. Has it come out, Fallout?
I'm not
you guys
sure.
Let me know in the chat. I have not seen Fallout. But I know it's a very, very popular game.
Yeah.
But there's a nuclear civilization has become an irradiated wasteland. And then in The Last of Us, modern society has been destroyed by infection. So I haven't seen The Last of Us, but let me know what y'all think of The Last of Us. I know people highly recommend the first season.
Right. Yeah.
In Children of Men, which is from Alfonso Cuarón, right?
Yeah.
Humanity has lost the ability to reproduce. In Black Mirror, nearly every new convenience becomes a sophisticated method of psychological torture. And I think that's why people love Black Mirror, but also it's like a love-hate relationship. Like, watching Black Mirror is like subjecting yourself to torture. But at the same time, it's so fascinating. You're like, no. It's like, but you can't look away. So it's kind of like it's like the clinical thing where you're on the table,
right?
And it's holding your eyes open like a Clockwork Orange, and you're like, no.
I think so. That's a great comparison.
Yeah, and I already look like I walked out of a dystopian novel because I woke up with like a split lip. And I was like, oh yeah, like I look like I, I was in a Matrix fight in my head.
Oh yeah, there was some experiment.
And I woke up and I'm like, yeah, like
Hey kids of life.
Hey kids of life, how are you? You guys don't forget to like the video.
Yes.
So in Severance, the work-life balance, which Andre de Alba, and Andre, if you're watching, let us know.
Andre.
We love Andre. She's such a good addition to the team here.
Yeah.
As we're growing this channel, I would love for her to come back. So Andre de Alba, if you're watching, come back. But she mentioned Severance, and the work-life balance problem is solved by literally cutting a person's consciousness in half, which has human resources policies as go. It's like very, very aggressive, right?
Yeah.
In Blade Runner, we finally invent artificial human beings and immediately use them as disposable labor, which I think I'm kind of surprised we already don't have like the robots, right? Like the androids. I kind of am. I guess it's because of the mechanics around it. But there's all this talk right now that for so long they had the ability to do the robotics, but they didn't have the AI behind it. But now they have the AI. So now in a way, it's like it's advancing so fast. The robotics has actually been there.
Yeah.
And so now they actually can marry the two.
Right.
And that's supposed to be coming the next couple of years, which it doesn't kind of feel like after the big flu, like after AI started, like all these major celebrities like dropped.
Yeah,
like major figures, like we're like, bye, I'm out.
I think,
and I was like, why are you leaving us?
Yeah.
Like, don't leave us,
Yeah.
Several key, famous figures.
We need you. Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of like need our heroes.
I think so. We're always looking for someone to,
Absolutely. Like we need heroes.
To have.
There's that song, all my heroes are dead.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in God. Have you heard that song?
Yeah.
From Leon.
Yeah.
It's so dark, but in some ways it's like hauntingly beautiful, but it's a very dark song. But I think that song is dystopian in and of itself. And I think we're seeing dystopian elements pop up in music as well. Like even like Lady Gaga, like that grunge sound, it's kind of like, this is like the music of a future that's like, people are living in between basically Blade Runner. Like that last abracadabra music. I was like, that sounds like the music of Blade Runner. Like not that it sounds like the movie soundtrack or score, but it sounds like what people would listen to in this world where there's just flat trash floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of necessarily optimism, let's say.
Right.
And so what happened? Did society become more pessimistic? Did filmmakers stop believing in progress? Did studios discover that terror creates better trailers than help? I mean, there's probably truth in all of those statements.
Yeah.
Or is it dystopian science fiction? Is it doing exactly what it is supposed to do? Taking the anxieties of the present and projecting them forward until we can see them, so we can actually see them clearly. So there's a big argument to be made that these dystopian futures are just an allegory for the now. So it's just putting a microscope under what's already happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's largely true. So tonight is not simply going to be a list of terrible futures. So if you're wondering like, oh gosh, like another reason to be miserable, no. It's going to be more like it's a conversation, and that's why we do these live, because it's so fun, because people can interact, they can give us ideas, they can be like, you got to talk about this one. Like, why did you not mention this one?
Right.
And we love comedy too. So if you got jokes, bring your jokes.
Yeah.
Always fun. So, or is dystopian science fiction, I think it's doing what it's supposed to, frankly. But I also think that are there limits is a good question.
Yeah.
So we want to understand why these stories are so compelling. And also, like, there might be someone in the audience who says, this isn't compelling to me. Or I find Blade Runner compelling, but I don't find, let's say, Dune compelling.
Yeah.
Or I don't find, Star Trek or Star Wars. I think in general, people really do find Star Trek incredibly compelling. And the reason why is because it's that rare exception where it's a space story, but that it's actually optimistic.
Yeah.
There are things that go wrong, but it's almost never a systemic societal issue.
Right.
There's like a specific, menace or antagonist, and the antagonist maybe even be an idea, but it's not a societal level issue that's like institutionalized. And that's what it's like a hallmark of these dystopian things, is that all of these horrific problems are like, they are the system itself, right?
Yeah.
And there's another side to this, because last night when we discussed Star Trek, something happened in the chat. Like people really came alive whenever we're talking about Star Trek. And then, it was funny because speaking of dystopias, yesterday, our internet went out, and we were like ranking Star Trek movies. And it was hilarious because we were getting to the final 3 movies, and the internet just like went out, and I was like, okay, the Klingons have won.
No, it happened kind of slowly.
It was bizarre. I was like, is there like a little like troll out, like cutting the cord, and it was like
one by one. Maybe.
I was like, how does internet? Usually it's like you have it or you don't.
Right.
This idea of it like slowly going away made me think there was someone like with a saw who was like, ha ha ha, like I'm going to cut the internet. So, but Star Trek is really like a future people actually wanted to reach, right? That we still want to reach. I think we want to live in a world that looks a lot like Star Trek. And I think that we're looking for different online communities, like people scrolling YouTube and finding us. Like we're all trying to find our tribe, right? So if you're vibing with this, give a like, stick around, have fun at the party. A future in which people became more educated, more curious, more cooperative. Star Trek, a future in which humanity did not become perfect, but became just like better, because the people are still like deeply flawed. They explore all these different things in Star Trek, and that vision now feels radical because what's replaced a lot of this Star Trek is all these other dystopian novels, and more people are watching television shows and movies now than they are reading books. Let's say. Which don't you find that interesting in and of itself? The fact that like romantasy has taken over the novel space. It's a bit interesting. The idea that this romance and fantasy,
although I think it's being building up to
it's not overnight.
That point.
Yeah,
but I do find it interesting that it's like that genre was the one that kind of stuck with people.
It's predominantly driven by women buying books. There is still a large segment of the novel space which actually is science fiction, and there are men and women who buy that, but it's mostly men for science fiction. But there are female-led stories, just like looking at Hunger Games, right, and things like that. At what point do you stop counting things because it's like it's so far in the past? Like at what point? Because it's not that long ago for me, but for some people. It's like that was so long ago, So it's like where do you draw your line in terms of metrics, right? But if you guys like live videos, this is like the new thing I think in terms of the internet, just in general, is doing things live. It's been around for over 10 years, but just the ability to do it creates this like amazing conversation with a stranger, or someone who's new, someone who's been here. It's really cool,
and it just creates like immediate interaction as well, which is really cool.
I personally love it. It's also like we don't have to edit later because everything was happening in real time, so it makes it, the immediacy of it makes it feel important. But we are also going to ask whether science fiction has a responsibility to imagine like alternatives to like the Star Trek scenario, like because warnings are useful, I would say, right? Like allegories, things like 1984, which is so interesting. I wonder if there'll be a time when 1984, like it's because even the year is already so far in the past. But it was like a dystopian future. Like at what point are we going to like, is it going to be like for Fahrenheit 451? Are we going to ban books? I don't know.
I mean,
maybe we don't need to ban books because we're training ourselves to only consume like short form videos. So the idea of banning books seems unneeded.
Or it was like a more subtle way of banning them. Like it's
right. It's like reproductive.
Maybe
rights.
not banning them, but censoring them. Maybe. Or just like
just train us to not have the attention span to actually consume that book, or make us illiterate. That's that idea. I'm not asking for that, but I'm saying I think that's the overall kind of feels like the goal, to make people so illiterate to the point that they're so easily controlled. Everyone's just like docile, and they're just like drooling on themselves, and like on conveyor belts, just like going from one place to another. Very very dystopian. So we'll discuss this television show Silo, and that one is it's such an interesting show. If you haven't checked out Silo, I would highly recommend it. We will discuss that show. Then there's an underground society that's rules, its architecture, its secrecy, and what is meant by the civilization that nobody knows exists. Like what's going on with that, basically. Because Silo is a great like discussion point. So if you haven't seen it, I would say add it to your watch list. Add it to your watch list. You're like me, you could actually have like a little paper book. I feel like if everything, even like your notes app, everything is like AI it.
Yeah.
So anything is like now AI. So it's like the only way to avoid that is to write stuff down in a notebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, it's like it feels like all your devices like want to know what's going on. So it's interesting that everything's in your phone. So it's like naturally they know how to sell us products.
Yeah.
Reach us. It's very interesting.
Have your whole.
Yeah, I feel like they can turn your camera on at any moment.
Yeah, like have your whole profile.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna jump right into it. So the word dystopia is often used to mean any future that is unpleasant, but a dystopia is usually more specific. It is a society that is organized misery. The suffering is not random; it is built into the system. A post-apocalyptic wasteland can be miserable without technically being a dystopia. Like you could even argue that, like now, some people might say we're living in a dystopia. Other people might not, because maybe people are enjoying their lives. Okay. But I think you could argue that we're on the road to a dystopia. Like if civilization has simply collapsed and everyone is trying to survive, there may be no functioning system left to oppress them. So a dystopia usually is like the system is working exactly as designed.
Yeah.
The problem is what it was designed to do. So like 1984, it's surveillance, propaganda, and historical revision of the system. And Brave New World, it's about pleasure, conditioning, and social classification. And The Handmaid's Tale. Have you seen any of The Handmaid's Tale, by the way?
No.
So that one I recommend. That one has Elizabeth Moss, and it's on Hulu. But that one is about control over women and reproduction, like reproductive rights, and also like religion. This religion has taken over the country, and that in Silo, rules, information, and control, and physical architecture shape what inhabitants are allowed to know. And then in Severance, the corporation doesn't merely control employees' labor; it attempts to divide their identity in half, which I mentioned. So the frightening dystopia is rarely chaotic. It's orderly. Forms are completed, rules are followed, departments have names, people receive badges. Everyone has developed a very attractive logo for their institution, destroying their own humanity. Because usually it's like the institution for well-being is like this something that's actually designed to make you miserable.
Yeah.
Or like or the
Ministry
division of freedom is oppression. So giving it the opposite name is like a hallmark of dystopias.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello, Officer Matthews.
Hey, Officer Matthews, how's it going?
Hey.
But that's why a dystopian fiction feels so plausible, is because we see some of that stuff already. So real oppression rarely introduces itself by saying, hello, we are the villains. No. It's like this procedure exists for your protection.
Yeah.
We're here to protect you. Obey, consume, sleep, eat. We're here for you. Like kind of very creepy. Yeah. I could definitely like play one of those roles.
No, I mean,
like, don't you think I could definitely?
You just convinced me.
Hello, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
You are important. This system loves you.
Subscribe.
Obey. It's very interesting the way like our psychology works.
It is.
And like the way we use like spokespeople to be like the head of something.
I think it's easier to manipulate somebody than we think, like even ourselves,
I think it's way easy.
Yeah.
I think it's not to say that like if it was, people are like, oh, if it was so easy, Brandon, like sell me, blah, 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 blah.
No,
I'm not those people. I feel like it's dystopian where everybody's trying to sell you stuff.
Right. But it's more like the way in which you can convince people to maybe like, trust you,
like how quickly do you get to the sale?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's very interesting. And then it's like, what are you selling to? And I think increasingly in the in terms of like a nightmare scenario, which I think that's a recent movie, right? Like Nightmare Scenario. If not, we need to make that movie.
Yeah,
where it's like everything goes wrong, but it's like it's all taking place like what we think is a nightmare, and then you realize it's not. Nightmare Scenario.
Yeah.
Actually, there was a new movie with Nicolas Cage. It's called Dream Scenario.
Yeah,
that's what that was. So
Nightmare Scenario. No, I don't think.
Okay, then we got to make that movie, Nightmare Scenario. What do y'all think? We can make that movie.
You saw it here first, guys. So
you ready? Yeah, it's here first. You heard it here first. Call now. So yeah, it rarely shows up and says like we're the villains. Mario, which frightens you more? A collapsed society with no rules, or an organized society with rules you cannot question?
Gosh, I think the rules that you cannot question, maybe, because it feels like they're there to protect you, but then if you start kind of wondering
don't question things, Mario. Accept them as they are.
That's kind of like the human nature, right? To question things.
Mario, everything's fine. consume, obey, right?
Yeah, I think whenever, because that's the human nature. I think whenever you cannot,
I know somebody just threw their phone. They're like,
come back if you did that.
Yeah.
No, because if you question authority, it's maybe because you kind of wonder if it's really the thing, and maybe that's just like a human trait in general.
Yeah, for sure.
But
like there's an inherent like idea of like rebellion, I think.
Yeah, and so I think
I think some people rebel like with no cause, like the movie, the famous Rebel Without a Cause.
Yeah,
and I think that I think order is not a bad thing, but I think the idea of there's something like it's inherently almost, because there are more movies almost about a dystopian future than there are about a collapse, like everyone's living in the shambles of what was. Maybe it's a bit of both. You guys can leave comments. Like the Book of Eli is an example of the society in total chaos, like feuding warlords. There's not a one system. It's not necessarily a dystopia. That's like a post-apocalyptic world, which there's a difference. So if you guys are watching, there's a difference between like a dystopia versus a post-apocalyptic world. Like a post-apocalyptic world is like everything has gone to crap and nobody's really in charge. And it's but a dystopia is like where actually everything has been automated and systemized. And so everything is controlled down to the almost molecular level. So I don't know. I think they're both scary.
Yeah.
Because I think when society collapses, it's like what you have to pick your demons. Like, would you rather be controlled and like kind of know that you're going to live to see another day, or live in the chaos and be like, if you try to cross the street, you'll be beheaded. Or get hit by shrapnel or something.
Yeah, and I do think that whenever we don't have anything that controls us, we unravel to which is
I think society is at a crossroads. Personally, I do think that. You guys, let me know in the chat. I'd be curious to know if y'all think society is at a crossroads. So that's the question, chat. What's worse, chaos or total control? Probably total control, but I think chaos is. I think we're already. Some societies are already in a state of chaos.
Yeah, I think both are scary in a way. Both are scary in their own way.
Yeah, because the nightmare is not always that society stops functioning. Sometimes the nightmare is that it functions perfectly for the wrong purpose, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about we previously.
Yeah.
And if you guys are new to the channel, but this is a topic that we're exploring because the world is like heading towards this so quickly with AI and with the rapid automation. For example, even like in working in television and film, which is what Mario and I do.
Yeah.
That whole system, it's like so many people are getting replaced by like AI workworkflows. And on the surface, it's like, yeah, that makes it easier. And it's some companies like they don't have a choice because they're already like headed for bankruptcy. But at what point do you stop the automation? Because you automate this, and that's easier. Then you automate this. You automate your your storyboards.
Yeah.
You automate, your log line, getting everything down, boiling everything down. And then it's like, at what point is the machine doing everything for you? I think it's a slippery slope. And I think a lot of people are having this debate and like they're looking to, if you guys are if this is always in your mind, leave a comment, let me know.
Let us know.
So We is that book that was the first, that has the honor of being the first book to be banned by the Russian USSR. And then there's Brave New World, 1984. And so publishers early on, they were already seeing what we might see as like the road to a dystopia. That's why these books were being written in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
And so we were already there. So why misery is easier than hope? That's like the question.
Ooh.
So I think it's easier because in some ways it's just more compelling to show people a story. That's why horror sells. There's rarely a movie out there where everything goes well. And if it does, it's probably not very entertaining, right? So dystopians dominate because misery creates an immediate conflict, right? The idea of society, just falling apart, or society being completely controlled and automated. It's not always good for a screenplay. If food is plentiful, institutions are trusted, neighbors cooperate, and public transportation arrives on time. Congratulations, you have a pleasant civilization. But that's not a story. So like a good example would be also like Demolition Men. You probably didn't see this one, Mario, because it was ahead of your time. But Demolition Men is a good movie. And that has Sandra Bullock and Sylvester Stallone. And that one shows a guy who's frozen in ice for a crime, but he's also a police officer. But they de-thaw him. And it's part of this trope that I touched on the other day, which was the idea of like bringing a manly man from the past
Yeah.
to solve the future, to like fix the future, because the future is broken because we've lost like our manly men, you know, because so many, because the way they depict men in the current state of affairs is like people are like wearing like Japanese robes. It's like they look like almost like geishas and Demolition Men. And Sylvester Stallone is de-thawed to come like protect society from this menace who's also de-thawed. So in the movie, instead of you going to jail, like you're frozen and like you get de-thawed at a certain date in the future.
Wow.
Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if you're frozen, it's like, isn't the idea of jail to like make you quote unquote suffer on some level?
Yeah.
So, but it's an interesting premise, but I would highly recommend Demolition Men if you haven't seen them. Yeah.
It sounds like a really good story.
Yeah. I don't have chat in front of me, so I can't see. I don't know if you found a picture.
Yeah.
Mario's fast, you guys. I pulled that one out of my hat. I didn't prepare for that one. So we're gonna talk about Silo. So Mario, would Silo be interesting if people knew exactly why they lived underground, like from the beginning?
No. I think that's the whole thing, right? Like whenever we have the idea of a dystopian thing going on, I think we also have something that's quite secret about the cause for it, and I think that's the reason why we aren't interested in it, because whenever a character starts to question what's out there, maybe
they're I don't know. This is.
I think that
awareness. Can't we go outside? You know,
exactly.
Can we trust those are windows?
Exactly. I think that awareness is kind of like the igniting incident, or like the first step in order to develop the ultimate goal, which might be revealing the truth or whatever truth is.
That show's on. It's going into its 4th season. So we've only seen a few episodes.
Yeah.
Or he's only seen one episode.
I've only seen the
first.
But
it does a really good job of setting up the plot. Setting up the premise.
Yeah. From the very first episode, you kind of start getting the whole nature of the thing.
I feel like so much of my own personal life has been like living in my own like dystopia to an extent. Not dystopia, more like just like life can throw you really a lot of curveballs, right?
Yeah.
So this idea of like, I think we escape into things because it's better, or it's like more funny, like it's funnier, or it's more terrifying. And I've noticed that a lot of traumatized people I know love horror. And I think it's because it's like, this is more terrifying than my reality.
Oh yeah.
So it's in a way cathartic.
Yeah.
You know? So I think there's something about the dystopian thing that people are drawn to, because they're like, yeah, my child was totally messed up. Like my parents are crazy. You know, you may think society's crazy for that matter.
Yeah.
But this idea of things being so much worse, it's compelling.
It's gonna, and I think it's true, maybe, because there's always something out there, right? That's kind of.
And I think Star Trek is equally interesting because it's like it gives us a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of like someone mentioned like earlier on a different live, Schadenfreude, that term of like pleasure from like someone else's misery.
Yeah.
And so it's like kind of like we feel like secretly better. That's like, well, at least that's not my life. It's like watching reality TV and like them casting the craziest people.
Yeah, I think like, that was kind of my point. Like maybe we tend to look up that those shows or those forms of entertainment because they are also a way in which we can,
feel superior.
Yeah, maybe, or just feel less.
I think there's something there.
Yeah, less bad maybe as well.
You're like, I'm not that crazy.
Yeah.
Like maybe they'll cast beautiful people, but they're like totally unhinged.
Yeah.
So you're like, at least I'm not this nuts person. But I honestly can't really watch reality TV because I feel for the people too much, because I know there are real life consequences. And I know that even if it's quote unquote real, they are playing some version of themselves. So I think reality TV in some ways is already like inherently dystopian or dystopic.
So. Yeah.
So I kind of feel for the characters like on another level where I'm like, oh, like you ever, or even, some people might be like, oh my gosh, I could never go on YouTube live. And I get that because I think, some people it's like, oh my God, that's just like my nightmare, being on camera live. And I'm like, I get that. I used to be there.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe it's like the Hunger Games where it's like dance monkey and it's like, oh, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah. And I think, Kiss of Life is making a good point. He was also saying, yeah, it's like my mom wants to watch funny movies when she's down. I think it can be the opposite as well. Like whenever you feel a little bit down, yeah, you also just want a distraction for that moment, maybe. And the thing I like about some comedy as well is that it can it can give you hope as well. Like it can give you,
absolutely, laughter is like the best medicine.
Yeah,
it's so good, and that's why comedians get paid so much money, because people really want to laugh.
Yeah,
like we want to laugh.
So I think both ends are, just a way for us to kind of feel better. I was telling you before we started, I think we all just want to feel better at anything, like
Mario and I are constantly having this conversation, like what is going on with society.
Yeah,
like one thing I noticed today, I was out, everybody was smoking. Like I was shocked, like so many people are smoking, and I'm like, have I noticed this before? Like I think I have, but I was never really quite paying attention on this level. But so many people were smoking, and so we're in Mexico City right now, and so many people were smoking. I was curious. I'm like, well, maybe it makes sense because they're out on the sidewalk, and that's what I'm seeing them. So they've maybe gone to come out of their building to smoke.
I do agree. I think it's like I even would say that it's a Mexico City thing. I'm not sure if that's
I didn't see that in New York.
Yeah, for example, LA. Or whenever I go to my hometown, it's not that way either.
Yeah.
But who knows? I think we are all just trying also to fit in.
I think people smoke as a stress reliever, but I think it actually ends up giving you more stress. But I think it's probably true for lots of things. Yeah. Like wine. It's like you drink too much wine, you're bloated.
Yeah.
Like the next day you wake up and you don't really look that great, or you feel like you're like, oh, I'm like hungover or whatever it may be. So.
Yeah. Because those are, temporary reliefs, right? Maybe.
Right. Which I think art does the same purpose.
Right.
It has the same, result.
Yeah.
But the way you get there is like maybe intellectually. Another thing is like a physical substance.
Right.
And a lot of these dystopian novels, books, and television shows also have like physical substance that are either forced on the culture, like the Soma.
Yeah.
And Brave New World. Or it's something that's in the air, or it could be like a birth control device, like in Silo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah. But this show Silo, I'm very intrigued about what's coming, because since the first episode, it's kind of, and it's obviously what they want, but it leaves you with questions, like it leaves you wondering.
Yeah. And I also think that it's such a great allegory, and I think you can imprint onto it so many different things. And, Jimmy was doing Our Forgotten Son.
Yeah.
And it's so similar to that. I was like, dang, like that's so similar. I'm like, it looks like it's lifted from that, when in reality, it's like, it was a unique product, but the idea of keeping like this hidden truth from people, it kind of feels like just being on planet Earth too. Like, what are we not being told? What is the bigger story out there?
Yeah.
But I have some of the books in my dystopian folder.
Yeah.
Like, do we have We in there?
Yeah.
And We, you guys, this is a book. I highly recommend this one to check it out. Even if it's not to read it, even if it's just to like learn about it further, people are reduced to numbers, and daily life is regulated mathematically. So the city is made of glass. Like there's no privacy at all. Wow. So imagine that, like everything, like there's no the concept of privacy. Like you cannot escape. Yeah. Everything is visible.
Yeah.
Everybody. So privacy becomes like suspicious. So in this future, if you try to achieve any level of privacy, it's like, why do you not want to be seen? What are you hiding, Mario? You're like, he's like, I'm just need to go pee. I'm like, yeah, but do it in the glass box.
Yeah.
Pee in the bucket, Mario.
Yeah.
We joke because when we're on lives, it's kind of like, can we go to the bathroom? So it's like, just to install a bucket into the chair. Like, at what point do we just like install a bucket? I mean, real for real.
Right.
Because sometimes at the end, we're like, oh, I've been needing to pee for the past hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And we're like, we like, roll to the bathroom. We're like,
yeah.
Because, you kind of get stiff.
Yeah.
But in We, the state's argument is that freedom produces unhappiness, while perfect organization produces peace. This gives us one dystopian fiction's foundational questions, which is, would you trade freedom for certainty? And I think that's the thing, is that like with freedom comes this idea that like there are so many unknown variables that could take place within a society. Even with Mexico, we're in Mexico right now. And so there's a lot of societal uncertainty in terms of, there's a lot of class struggle that's been going on for, over 100 years since Mexico's foundation. And that class struggle is evident in almost every single piece of art that comes out of Mexico. And what I've noticed is the reason why artistically, sometimes I cannot find common ground with some Mexican artists, is because it's like they want to tell class struggle stories. And I'm like, that's not really the kind of story that's like from the American lens. That's not always the point. Like there is like the dystopian aspect is a common plot point. But I've noticed that almost everything is like, it's about the oppression of women or the oppression of the poor. And so that's a very much like but it's a highlight of a culture that like wants to tell that story because like that's our national story.
And I do think that there are better ways, even broader ways to tell a story that also maybe tackles that topic, but not necessarily through the violence point of view. You know, like the.
Well, I remember we had someone over, a filmmaker, and I was telling him an idea, and he was like, "This is like so like uppity," and I was like, "Really?" And I was like, "It was not." I was like, "That's not the point. The point isn't class at all."
Right.
And I remember him like bringing it into the equation, and I was like, I was kind of a disappointing meeting because I was like, actually, I get your point, but that's not what we're trying to make here.
Yeah.
So I think your language also can dictate like what
the
kind of cultural products get made.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why a lot of these books are from the Russian speaking and English speaking world. So it's interesting because I don't see a lot of dystopian stuff come out of the Spanish speaking world. It's almost always about like class.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So, imagine like everything being glass. Would you accept a perfectly planned life if it eliminated most suffering? This is for chat and for Mario, and for me, for that matter. Like everything is structured, but there are no surprises at all. Like everything is controlled down to a T.
I don't think I would be as comfortable. Maybe I don't know. I think we value our own ways of even being maybe
autonomous. Like
being
able to do stuff on our own and like. I think there's something liberating about the freedom to succeed or to fail.
I think so.
I think there's also, I think if you're inherently creative, that's like, this would be like a torture nightmare world.
Yeah. And I do think that as humans, we also tend to be trying to go outside of the box. Maybe like, even if it's just to bother the other person, it's just like, you won't tell me what to do. Well, I think that's very human as well. And I'm not saying it's a good thing necessarily in all cases. But I do think it's good if that will lead you to create something that's creative or new or good.
I think the unknown, it allows for creativity and also innovation.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think what dystopian novels and TV shows and movies do is they're like, okay, well, what happens once you get to a certain level of innovation? That innovation can be used against you, which I think is what we're seeing with like AI. It's like it's so handy. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but it just took your job.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting thing. So go check that out. It's a book
by
it's a hard name.
Jeff
Try it, go for it, Mario, so you can get it out.
Jeff Samyatin.
Very good.
Excuse my Russian, guys.
Yeah, excuse his Russian. All right, and then there's Brave New World.
Yeah.
And Brave New World is control through pleasure, which I think we may be kind of in that right now.
I think so.
Like overconsumption, Wall-E adjacent. The difference is that Wall-E is kind of like people are actually kind of getting what they want. They're just floating around, binging food and snacks. But in Brave New World, imagine a society that does not primarily control people through pain. It controls them through conditioning, consumption, social classification, and pleasure. And that distinction matters. Like 1984 says the future may oppress you by making you miserable, but Brave New World says it may oppress you by making you comfortable enough that you stop, like there's no resistance. Kind of like the Borg, like resistance is futile.
Right.
The idea that it's like everything is so pleasurable that you're not going to resist because the system is making you feel good all the time.
Yeah.
And I think we actually need to feel uncomfortable sometimes. We need to be out of our comfort zones.
That's an idea that I've had in my mind like as of lately, because I think trying to also pretend that everything is good at all times is not realistic.
No,
and it shouldn't be.
Things are terrible.
I mean, sometimes, but we get better as well. So I think it's just like a cycle of getting better and trying new things and failing. and just be resilient, which is again another very human thing.
I think I try to be like happy all the time because I know like how I'm very like people are very perceptive of the way I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And so if I'm not happy, I'm like, well, dang, I'm like, I've got to be happy because there'll be immediate consequences if I'm not. So I feel like I've always kind of held my, feelings on my sleeve. Sometimes it's not even really how I feel. It's the way people are perceiving how I'm feeling.
Yeah. And I do think we can be positive most of the time, if not all the time. We shouldn't just pretend that things are great all the time, and we should try to escape
right, like feel the pain,
like being discomfort as well.
Does that mean we go out in public and like roll around in the public and just scream and thrash about and like do you mean you know what I mean, like at what point, like at what point is it like
right,
do you like, okay, we have to institutionalize this person,
right?
You know what I mean? Because I've thought about that, like how do we express our pain?
Yeah,
like do we and I think like for me, it's like, I'm like, okay, how would I do it? I would go out and I would go to like a public park and just roll around and just, thrash about just to get people's attention, to be like, notice me, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
Because I think that on some level, whenever you're hurting, the reason why people go to therapy, the reason why people join cults and things like that is because people need to feel seen.
Yeah. And
like in their time of pain. You guys let me know if I'm onto something. I think I am.
And that also made me think that maybe we as humans are not typically trained, let's say, to help others professionally. Maybe like we wouldn't know what to do whenever we come across that person, right? Like
like we think they were crazy, and even if someone's crying in public, it's like there's a certain gradient of like, when do you intervene with the other person? Like at what point does society care for each other? And I think that's part of like this social contract that we've kind of lost, where I feel like in the 60s or the 50s, if somebody was crying, if somebody would say like, what's wrong, darling? How are you?
Yeah.
And I still think that could happen today.
Yeah.
But it's just, if you're in a major metropolitan area, or even in a small town, it's just much less likely.
I agree.
Because I think the media has trained us to think that stranger danger, strangers are crazy, strangers are an unknown variable in an already chaotic and uncertain world.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the 1950s, people are always talking about how in the 40s and the 50s, they used to leave their doors open.
Yeah.
They used to leave the door unlocked all night long.
Yeah.
There was like, it was not a big thought. You didn't need to, you could just spend the day, and the kids are out playing. They would go ride their bikes and they would go out and they would come home at night, and there was just an expectation that things were fine. But with this increasing innovation, there were all these different weapons and machines and even, semi-trucks and things that can become a threat or a danger to childhood itself. And I think that that's ultimately why people are having less children too, is because we don't want to bring kids into this dystopian nightmare hellhole. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
I think that that's why.
Yeah. Lots of things too. Lots of things. But that's a key component, right? Because ultimately you would want the kids to grow healthy and safely and in a good way.
Right. There's an idea there that you want them to also have this level of freedom where they can really explore and make choices and fail without like, dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like without the fear of them being like super at high risk, right? Like you wouldn't want that. Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate thing, is that we miss an era where you were allowed to make mistakes. You were allowed to live in a world and things could go wrong, and the consequences weren't so high.
Yeah.
Now it kind of feels like if anything goes wrong, then it's like it's like doom and gloom.
Yeah.
So Brave New World is where I would say that we're living more in a Brave New World type scenario, which is like we're getting pleased to death. And it's because of like the endless scroll, and then because of all the different things that we can take.
Yeah, even new substances.
To numb our pain.
Yeah.
That's a good cover. That's
cover.
More of a modern cover. If you guys are here, don't forget to like the video. We're covering right now Brave New World. But we're gonna go into this Apple TV series Silo. So this is cool. This is live. So if you guys are new here, interact. It's really fun to chat. It says, whatever gets you through your life, as John Lennon said, right? John Scott, it's good to see you. I just opened up the chat so I can see it.
Yeah.
But, and then there's 1984. 1984 is the classic example of control through reality itself. So in 1984, the party does not merely control what people can see, it attempts to control what can be known. So if the government can alter the past, destroy evidence, and force citizens to deny what they have witnessed, it can break the connection between the individual mind and reality. And I think there's some of that already going on. Right? With like, have you noticed how like you talk to people and increasingly everyone is living in their own world?
Yeah.
And I think that social media has done that to us. Yeah. Like, I think social media is incredibly powerful and helpful. But then on the other side of that, you have this thing where people in the chat can probably relate. Have you ever talked to someone and you're like, what world are you living in? Like, I don't even recognize what you're talking about, bro.
Yeah.
Or gal or whoever it may be. And I think this is why like neighbors don't talk to each other in the way that they used to. There was a shared reality.
Yeah.
You know, and part of it was that we were all like watching I Love Lucy or whatever.
Yeah, like an understanding of the other maybe as well.
Yeah. And I think there was like a lot more empathy. And I think Gen Z is bringing the empathy back, but I think there are limits because if you have so much empathy, it's like, how much can you give before there's nothing left?
Yeah. I mean, that can also break a person for sure.
Yeah.
So,
if you're constantly worried about how other people feel, it's like it could be so emotionally draining, and it can also become like a hallmark of your own identity. And if it's too much of that, it's like, well, where is there room for who are you? Who are you? You know, if you're just constantly going around, you know, attending to crying kids at parks or people who are on a bench sad, or you know, because I know people who are chaos junkies too, and they go through life addicted to chaos. And they go from one catastrophe to the next, and I think that's its own. To me, that's its own nightmare scenario.
Yeah, like that's just a different way to ultimately kind of, I don't know, like stain some aspect.
That's right, Fawad. It's just us.
Yes.
You know, when I was young, I never needed anyone. Yeah, I miss embarrassing Jimmy, you know, and making love was just for fun those days.
Kids of Life was saying, can Brent at least spray Mario for all time's sake?
Oh yeah, for a super chat I can. Yeah, if you guys are interested in this topic too, let us know. Yeah, Kids of Life, I love that.
That's funny for a super chat.
So in 1984, there's the giant, you know, watching eye. You know, the ultimate censorship is not stopping people from speaking. It's making them doubt whether their own memory is even real. In 1984. This is kind of a cool loop here in the background too. This is that's like a background of you know, Blade Runner-esque. Yeah. So they're trying to confuse people, and I think we do this in the modern day as well. Yeah. It says war is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance, you know, is truth. Yeah. So this idea where it's like everything is contrarian is very it feels very familiar, and that's what makes this so scary. Yeah. You know, it's like dun dun dun, we're living in a dystopia. So it's you know, if this crosses your mind, you guys give the video a like, stick around. We're going through we've gone through Brave New World, we're on 1984, and we're going on to Fahrenheit 451. I could go on about 1984 forever. But these are books that we have to talk about them, because if not, these dystopian nightmare scenarios will become reality.
I think so, yeah.
So this is Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451, and it's called 451 because that's the temperature at which books burn. So this is often referred to as like the government burns books book. So, but it's really deeper. It's a deeper warning that involves a culture that increasingly prefers speed, entertainment, and emotional comfort to the difficulty of sustained thought. Does that sound familiar to anybody? So let me read that again. It warns of a culture that increasingly prefers speed, entertainment, and emotional comfort to the difficulty of sustaining like certain thoughts for an extended period of time. Hello, TikTokification, anyone? And the idea of enshittification? That's definitely describing the future that we're kind of headed into. And I think that there are ways to stop it. And the way to stop it is it's kind of like therapy with your family. Yeah. Let's say that your kid has a bad behavior. You need to sit at the dinner table and you need to have that conversation. You need to talk about that thing. And we have to do that as a society. We have to sit down at the dinner table and be like, folks, we got a problem. Sit on down. Everybody, how was your day, first of all? We need to talk about how you've been behaving because it ain't right. And you need Jesus.
Yeah. You know, that's the own way of confronting the thing, right?
Right. Like it's kind of like acknowledging that you have a problem. And that way, that's the only way to solve it is acknowledging it. Yeah. Here's an image of Guy Montag and his wife.
Yeah.
His wife Mildred. Mildred here, she actually turns him into the police, and he actually is a firefighter. And except for instead of preventing fires, he's burning books.
Yeah.
He's burning knowledge.
Yeah.
And in the novel and in the movie, he encounters a woman who's willing to burn with all of her books, and she's willing to die for her memories and her knowledge, and that makes him question and like wake up out of the, you might call it the metaphorical matrix. But this is a great. I would definitely go back and watch this 1960s movie.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I like the work of this director. So
is it 60s or is it 70s?
I think it might be 60s.
It has 60s feels,
yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
Like the look of everything, and it has that retro futuristic look, which the retro futuristic look, they've explored that
66.
In, 66. Yep. So they explore that in the new Fantastic Four. Like, what does the future look like as seen through the eyes of the past?
Yeah.
Kind of like the Jetsons.
Yeah.
Which is, I can't believe the Jetsons only ran for one season. That's that show. It's an animated show. It's Jetsons. We can pull a picture of it for the chat. So Fahrenheit 451 is a required reading in the United States. There may be certain districts or precincts for schools where it's no longer required, but most Americans are familiar with Fahrenheit 451. You guys let me know if any of these books are new to you. I'd be curious.
Yeah.
Dag Overhaul says Fantastic 451. I knew Dag Overhaul was going to come in with a joke. He's always got his jokes. If you guys are good at forming jokes, come drop them in the chat. We appreciate them. We like them.
Yeah, we have the Jetsons on screen.
So this was the Jetsons. And the Jetsons was such a good depiction of like automation. Like that's Rosie the robot. And so she's like vacuums everything. She prepares the meals. But it was like a depiction of the 1950s America, but in the future. The dad, he goes to work every single day, but his job is just to push a button, kind of like Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
And the wife, everything is automated, yet she stays home all day. So it's like, what are you staying home for, boo?
Yeah.
So there's still like everyone's kind of going through the rundown, and I think it's like a critique on what does the future look like if everything is automated.
Yeah, if everything is being accommodated for our needs.
And their dog is even a robot.
Yeah,
actually, never mind. The dog is real. This dog is real. I think the dog encounters a robot dog at some point in the series. If you guys give it a like if you like the Jetsons.
Yes, please.
I think it's really fascinating looking at the future through the eyes of now and also just the past.
Yeah.
But the Jetsons, they've got flying cars, all the hallmarks of something that would identify this
future.
This is clearly the future.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see it from like the perspective of maybe the 60s, like the 70s, like the time where it was the futuristic idea of something. Yeah.
John Scott says groovy. I think someone in there says groovy, but Judy Jetson is the daughter, and there's a recurring joke in there. And anytime something goes wrong, she goes, "My life is over." And I remember hearing that all the time. And so, like, anytime I would whine, I would kind of hear that in my head.
Yeah.
Because she's like, "My life is over," and the mom was like, "You're being so dramatic, Judy." But it depicts like all the things that are hallmarks of being human are going to exist in the far future as well, like teenage angst, right?
Yeah.
The need for meaning, which is why the dad goes to work every day, but he only goes to work to push a button. So it explores these themes. So if you guys have seen the Jetsons, let me know. If this is your first time being introduced to the Jetsons, let me know. I'd be curious to know. And next on my list, I have The Handmaid's Tale, which you probably need to download some pictures of that. But The Handmaid's Tale is the idea of the state controlling your body. And this is a show that's very, very recent. There it is right there by Margaret Atwood. She's still alive. I think she's like 90. I want to say she's around 90 years old. But when birth rates collapse, The Handmaid's Tale, and the regime does not respond by making life easier for families. It turns fertile women into a state resource. This is like a recurring dystopian idea that when society becomes frightened enough about its future, like private life becomes public property. And that's what this book definitely explores. And it's really beautifully acted by Elizabeth Moss.
I know that it's like recognizable by the white on their heads and like the red dresses. What's up with that? It's like
this is good. This is good. It needs to be conversational. So the reason why they wear that is because everybody, like society has been stratified. So people are immediately identifiable by what they're wearing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like, I think they're called the commanders, like the leaders of each household, like the commander.
Yeah.
And the wives are infertile. but the handmaid is in the house to bear a child for the family. So it's very this freaked people out when it came out, and it's still people that are just now discovering it freaks them out.
Yeah,
but it's so beautifully acted, and this is a show that reminds me that so much of the storytelling it hinges on the great acting and great execution of the storyline. But I really love Handmaid's Tale. It's really fascinating. If you guys are fans of A Handmaid's Tale, give it a like. This is a scene where this girl, she's like a bit delirious, but rightly so, because she's in this crazy world, and so she's so happy that she gets pregnant. But she's a handmaid. But before she becomes a handmaid, she's very rebellious during like the training stages. Whenever this futuristic state takes over, which is ultimately a religion. But she actually loses an eye.
Oh wow!
So she loses an eye, but she ends up having she's very fertile. But when she has the baby, she has these illusions that she and the commander are going to run off together at her household. And they're like, no, boo, you're just here to have the babies. Like, you're not here to necessarily bond. You're here to have the baby and to nurse them.
I see. Yeah.
But that's why this scene is infamous. Can you imagine a flying Waymo car? I can, John Scott. I saw one last night, but I was streaming. But no, I can imagine it. I think we're not too far away from a lot of these potentialities. Not necessarily A Handmaid's Tale. But the question for the chat is, could a demographic emergency ever make reproductive freedom politically vulnerable? I mean, I think so. Yeah. I think with like the dramatic decline in birth rates globally, that this actually feels more like familiar. So A Handmaid's Tale is starting to feel more plausible in a future where we are no longer having children. So if people are electing to not have children, it's not the dystopian future that's controlling us to not have children. It's like we've been convinced that having children is no longer desirable. Yeah. So then at what point does the state come in and force us to have kids? Right. That's always on my mind, honestly. Of all the topics, this idea of like the future generations, I think about it on a daily basis. And I don't think I'm alone in that. No, I think people are genuinely curious. How is it sustainable? Well, it's because we know inherently that it's just not.
Right.
We have to have kids.
I think so.
We have to have kids, and we have to have more people.
I think, and I hope that this has debunked the argument that having kids is bad for whatever reason, for like
bad for the environment. You mean?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I mean, what's bad for the environment is like us, like everything just collapsing and there being no societal structure.
I think we should maybe get rid of that idea as being like A, B, or A or B.
I feel like millennials have gotten rid of that idea. I mean, most of them.
Yeah. And so
is it still like a Gen Z thing? Still like holding on to that idea?
I've heard it a couple of times, but it's less pressing that it was maybe before, from what I've seen from my own perspective.
It says how sweetly delusional the handmaiden was. Right, John Scott, did you see that? Did you watch that?
Did you watch it, John?
They're incredibly well acted. Because she's in her bed and she's had the baby and she's like, we're going to run away together. And they're like, no, boo. Like, you're just here to have the babies. You're a handmaid. Remember your place. But let's go straight into Silo.
Yes.
And Silo is a show that's on television right now. So Silo, you guys let me know if you've seen Silo. This is a show that not a lot of people have seen because it's on Apple Plus, and Apple Plus it doesn't have a ton of subscribers compared to the other streaming platforms. But if you haven't seen it, it's okay. Mario's only seen one episode. I've seen 3 episodes.
Yeah.
This show is mind blowing because it's like your classic dystopian tale, but it's not seen through the eyes of children. It's seen through the eyes of adults, which I think is unique because most of this dystopian future fiction has usually told like with the Hunger Games or Divergent or the Uglies. It's seen through the eyes of people who are going through like puberty or even potentially children. But this is actually adults who are facing these things and an almost like childlike naivete. Did you find that interesting? Like how it's like them having to act this out. Like you're just not questioning this and you're like 45.
No, yeah, there was like a little bit of innocence maybe on the way society behaves at the beginning.
Sultan, we're glad you're happy. You guys leave a chat, let us know where you're watching from. This is a live interactive show, so the whole idea is to interact with us because that's why we're doing it live.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And we learn new things for the chat too, because people are like, this, you should talk about this or you should talk about that. I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. Thank you.
Please do.
So let us know.
So yeah.
It says we're watching 2 seasons because of season 3 is out. Okay, so it says we may be doomed. Great username. Love that. We may be doomed. Love that. So you're rewatching season 2 because season 3 is out now. Got it. Well, I love your username, first of all. So we may be doomed. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like the video.
Yes, please do so. Hey, we may be doomed.
Very good username. Can I buy that off of you? That's a great username. I love it.
It's very on topic.
Do you want to be a guest on our show? We may be doomed.
It's very on topic.
Very
so
on
welcome.
Topic.
Welcome.
I love it.
Thank you for being here.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let us know how your rewatching is going. All right. So in Silo, Rebecca Ferguson is the main character, but she's actually not really in the first episode. But the first episode serves as like as a pilot to this dystopian world. Rashida Jones carries pretty much the majority of the first episode. And I think, is that David Oyelowo? Who is her husband in that?
Oh,
I can't remember the actor's name. I want to say it's David Oyelowo.
He has like a familiar face almost.
Yeah, he has a real familiar face.
Yeah, but he is oh gosh, let me pull it up. He is David Oyelowo.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, that's what I thought. He's a very sympathetic actor. He's got a very nice face. He inspires warmth. But anyway, the story starts as Rashida Jones and David Oyelowo. They're a couple. He's the sheriff, and she's his wife. She works at in like a data center. It's something to do with computers. It's not really clear, but basically they're trying to have a baby, and they're giving their final attempt to have a baby. And the state has takes out their birth control device out of the women for them to be able to. Here they are in the kitchen, and mind you, this is called Silo because if you guys are just not joining us, we're just not covering Silo. It's a television show on Apple Plus, and here's Rashida Jones and David Oyelowo. They're two actors, and they play a couple in this dystopian world, and they're in this underground silo, and so they're kind of flirting with each other. They're a couple, and there's also the clothing is kind of hinting at like a level of minimalism.
Yeah,
not too dramatically minimalistic, but enough.
Yeah, that's another good choice, I think, for the production design, because it's not like your common dystopian idea of like a better future,
you're wearing a trash bag,
right? Like where there's no like excessive minimalism, for example. Like no, it's not very sterile in that way.
It's very 1950s.
Yeah, kind of, but at the same time futuristic. It's cool. Like it's
like those plastic houses that were coming out with in the 1950s.
Yeah,
so
right.
Go on.
No, right. Yeah.
So in this pilot, here's a picture of this silo. So everyone lives in this silo. So people go up and down like hundreds of stairs. In fact, they make a point to say like if someone has to go to like the market or they have to go somewhere else, it can take over a day or an entire day just to get down to one level and to get back.
Yeah,
because everything is so far apart because everything is stacked literally on top of each other.
Yeah.
So everything is inside of this silo.
Yeah,
and it's a really cool concept. But it's also it's nightmarish, but like it's very exciting to watch because you get to see how the world unfolds because you're learning about the truth along with the characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a side ninja discussion happening. I love it. Definitely love ninjas, like honor thing. So anyway, in Silo, we find out that one of the ladies who was one of the counselors for fertility, she tells Rashida Jones' character, she's like, hey, she pulls her aside and she's like, she puts the water on. And also that's a point of making note that like most of their resources are scarce except for water. Like they have plenty of water. So the fertility counselor turns on the water to prevent them from hearing her. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like, they're listening.
Yeah.
And she's like, do you really think somebody like you, they would let them have a baby? And so Rashida Jones, at first she dismisses her, and then she realizes that this procedure that she had at the very beginning of the episode where they take out her fertility device, she actually, there's a scene where David Oyelowo, her husband, finds her and she's just cut it out. It's still inside of her.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, dang. A very good pilot. Very strong pilot material for a television show because it really establishes this world that we're living in.
Yeah, and, like at the beginning you think that it was like a medical procedure that she had because they were allowed to have babies. That's another thing, right? Like the idea that you can only procreate on certain periods if approved by,
it's like controlled.
Yeah, if approved by the machine or whatever.
So Rashida Jones' character is kind of down on herself because the system can make you feel like you're like personally inadequate.
Yeah.
for not being able to have a child. When the reality is she finds out they never took out her birth control device at all. And that was a great reveal. I was like, this is great writing, right?
Yeah.
Because whenever it reveals it, she's like, pulls her hand out and she's like.
And it's the exact same thing. It's like the doctor just had like another thing that was the thing, but it wasn't the birth control thing that she was.
He shows her the device to kind of trick her into being like, look, I took it out.
Yeah.
So it's great. I really highly recommend Silo.
Yeah.
And another piece of this story is the world is becoming unstable, but the people like that are at the society is stacked, so not everybody is fully aware of what's going on. And they make reference to this character Juliet, and she works like at the very base of the silo, and so she works, and that's Rebecca Ferguson's character, and so she's like she leads the series, but she's barely in the pilot at all. But she like fixes the generator, and the generator is like going crazy, but she's constantly having to go in there manually and fix it. And so she knows that they have to reset the generator, because if they don't, like all of society is going to just fall apart.
Yeah.
But it shows how like the other levels are like kind of clueless as to like the level of severity of the problem. And I think that's also like a symptom or an allegory for society, us not understanding like, the right hand needs to know what the left hand is doing. And every single piece of society is absolutely crucial. And so if one thing falls apart, like the whole thing will fall apart.
Right.
But Rashida Jones' character, when she finds out that they're controlling her fertility, she actually decides that she wants to leave the silo. And the laws of the silo are who raises the kids' estate. We haven't gotten there yet.
No.
But I think it is. But John Scott, that's a good question.
Yeah.
But we're giving you the basic premise. We're not giving any spoilers, except for the fact that in the first episode, Rashida Jones' character, we've established that there's a law that if you say you want to leave the silo, they call it cleaning, because you go out, but you can't come back in. But they're like, just do us one favor and like wipe down the camera, because there's a camera that has a view of the outside world, which is supposedly like a radiated decay.
It's like very green, like very. You cannot survive outside, right?
Yeah, you can't survive outside because it's all radiated. But the twist is that by the end of the first couple of episodes, Rashida Jones and her husband, the sheriff, have both elected to go out because Rashida Jones is convinced that what they're seeing on the monitors is actually like it's not real. It's just a distortion of reality.
Okay, yeah.
And so she goes out and she actually cleans the little camera that allows the society to see outside.
Yeah.
But they also see her like fall down. She can't even make it more than a few yards because being in this radiated world, she's like immediately weakened. So she can't even like walk up this little bitty tiny hill. And in the next episode, her husband does the same thing, which is like shocking for the civilization who lives in the silo, because he's the sheriff.
Yeah,
he's the sheriff of the whole freaking thing. So the fact that he would elect to go out there, but it shows us the world through his eyes, and everything is green and lush. And so he's like, oh my God, she was right. But then, and he wipes the camera down. But then what happens is society sees him fall down as well next to his wife. So it's like we're at this point in the series, both of us, where we don't know if what we're seeing on the screen, like if it's actually real or what happens. So there's like a slow reveal in terms of what's happening inside of Silo. But we know that there are so many mysteries wrapped up in this in this premise.
Right.
But it feels very familiar territory. This idea that we're not being told the full story. It's kind of like, is all of humanity an experiment? Is it a metaphor for a country, or like, what if you're North Korea? Someone told me today, they were like, they all think that they won the World Cup for the 40th time. And I was like, that's hilarious, because it wouldn't surprise me if that was a real thing.
Yeah.
Because we don't really know what's going on inside of that world. But this is Rebecca Ferguson. This is a still from Silo.
Yeah.
So John Scott says the Silo divided into separate groups. John Scott, are you saying that you know that because you've seen it?
No, he's asking, was the silo divided into separate groups?
Well, the silo, it's society itself, as far as we know, so far where we are in the series. So everyone is inside of this silo. There's thousands of people, and they're all on these concrete levels, as you can see.
Like stacked.
Yeah, it's stacked. There are no elevators. So people, it's like you have to struggle to get up and down. But they have plenty of water, and they're growing food in there. But they've been told that they've been living in here for 140 years. And that there was an event in the past called the Rebellion. And the rebellion was the event that was like the turning point. So nobody knows what happened before the rebellion, because any item, any artifact, any book, any hard drive, any piece of information is called a relic. And if it's a relic, it's forbidden and it's outlawed. So if you're in possession of a relic, you can be exiled, which is like basically being sentenced to death, because as far as they believe and as far as they know, once you leave the silo, you die almost immediately because of the radiation exposure.
Yeah.
But they do put you in an outfit to give you like a potential to survive. And they call it cleaning because there's a camera outside, and that's the only view to the world. And so they tell you to wipe down the camera. So they want you to clean the camera. And there's like a view of what it looks like. Yeah. We haven't even gotten to this point yet where Rebecca Ferguson's character does go outside.
Right. But this is just like the suits that they wear whenever they
this is a great picture. Yeah. But it's definitely like kind of like if you were looking at this and you didn't know what it was, you'd be like, is that Mars? But in theory, we don't even, I don't even know if they're on planet Earth, but there's some relative assumptions. They're all speaking English. Yeah. There's some cultural things going on there that they're like the institution of marriage. The idea of like a family, all these different things makes it feel like this is like a dystopian nightmare version of what would happen after like a nuclear fallout.
Yeah, yeah.
But they call the event in the past the rebellion, and anything that happened before that, it's like nobody really knows, but it happened 140 years in the past. So Mari and I recently began watching Silo, and this is like the perfect series for tonight's discussion because thousands of people live in this vast underground structure, as I explained. They believe the world outside is deadly. They simply cannot leave. Information about the past is heavily restricted. Certain objects are forbidden. They're called relics. And one of the most frightening ideas in the series is not that merely that people live underground. It's that almost nobody appears to understand who built their society. Like nobody knows who built the silo.
Right.
It's like who built it? Who dug holes? Like, and I think in season or episode 2 or 3, Rebecca Ferguson actually finds like a hallway to like another silo where they kind of hid the machine. Yeah. And it was the machine that initially dug the hole. And they're like, who built this? And she's like, we don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah. So in some ways, Rebecca Ferguson's character, the reason she's allowed to kind of be a little bit more mysterious and to kind of escape society is because she's at the lowest level. So she's like at the very bottom, which is engineering. So it's a really cool thing. And actually, Rebecca Ferguson is an executive producer on this show as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So this is probably like a project she really wanted to see come to light. And it's a beautifully done show. Yeah. From what I can see.
Yeah.
So Apple describes the series as taking place in a ruined, toxic future where thousands live in a giant underground silo. The story follows engineer Juliet Nichols, played by Rebecca Ferguson, as she begins investigating deaths and the structure's hidden history. The series is adapted from Hugh Howey's book called Wool, Shift, and Dust. So like wool, like from a sheep, like wool, and then the word shift and dust. Okay. So that's the book.
Oh, it's a trilogy.
Yeah, that's because there are 3 different books, right?
Yeah.
One of the smartest elements is the staircase. There are no elevators. So movement through the society requires enormous physical effort. That means geography becomes class. It's like where you are inside of the silo is class. So that's like a really powerful statement right from the jump. That people near the top are physically and socially separated from the people working deep below. So information actually travels pretty slowly inside of the silo. Even though you might think everyone's together, there are some people at the base who like hack radios to try to like hear radio frequencies. And you'll see that like in episode 2 and 3.
Okay.
But geography inside the silo and implies your status, which is kind of similar to where society is in real life, right? Like you live in a good neighborhood, you're safe. Yeah. Maybe we have our, devices that give us the information, but in terms of like the way, like how we understand and interpret and interact with society is heavily restricted by our geography.
Yeah.
And so authority feels distant if you're like one of the lower levels. Society is not merely inside a structure. The structure teaches people where they belong. So this is a really cool, that's a really cool visual that you've showing the silo itself. So it's very interesting. Like it's like a thematic social hierarchy, this idea of the silo. And that's so they gather for Freedom Day. So in the very first episode,
yeah.
So yeah, they gather for Freedom Day. And Freedom Day, they do a lot of, they have to cover a lot of ground, but on Freedom Day, they're celebrating the 140th year inside of the silo. And so everyone is living in this dystopian world. But they think that if they leave the silo, it means, immediate death.
Yeah.
So, it honestly turns on your curiosity like immediately, this show. So it's an incredibly well done pilot.
Yeah.
I will say, because it makes you want to watch the whole series. So the residents experience the outside world through screens. That creates a terrifying epistemological problem, because how do you know whether the image that you're watching is true? So they have these screens that showcase what's outside, and the picture is seen through a camera lens. And the people who are, one of the laws is if you say that you want to leave the silo, you have to leave the silo.
Yeah.
Like if you even utter it, it's like you get expunged from the culture. And so they say, you don't have to clean, but we ask that you clean, which means like wipe down the camera, so that just to remind everybody how dangerous the outside world is.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a really fascinating aspect to the novels and to this story, is that they call it cleaning, because it gives you this inherent, it's kind of like the lottery, from that famous article that was in the newspaper like over 100 years ago, where you don't realize at the end winning the lottery means that you get stoned. So it's like cleaning. It's like, that she'll get cleaned or he'll get cleaned if he does that. So it's basically being sentenced to death, is being, expunged from the silo.
Yeah.
So this is what they see on the screen here. So it's definitely like the Plato's cave analogy. Many others. How can they trust that this is actually real? And I think that that's also what we're asking whenever we see stuff as seen through our telephones, and through the news. It's like, is what we're seeing the actual real world,
right?
Or has it been distorted in some fashion? And I think that AI is making us really question that.
Yeah, because it's so easy to now transform like a whole reality too. We just have to be, very aware of it, and know that the possibility is there. Like we cannot always trust that we're seeing is the actual thing.
And forbidden relics are dangerous because they create a comparison. So relics are items from before the rebellion, from 140 years ago. So a population that knows the only way of life, they accept it as natural, because it's the only way of life that they know. So any form of life that before the rebellion is just an unknown variable. So an object from the past would suggest that things were once different. If things were once different before, they can become different again, right?
Yeah.
So there are no forbidden things. They make a really good point to highlight that in the second and third episode, because Rebecca Ferguson has a watch, and they're like, "What are you doing with the watch? Like, you don't need a watch." And she's like, "It's not a relic. It's legal, because most things that are like most watches are, but that particular watch was not, or not considered a relic." So she makes a point of saying like it's legal. It's legal. So just the idea of wearing a watch, it's like, okay, it helps us establish the rules of this society. It's like just wearing a watch could be a crime that could lead to you being cleaned or exiled from the silo.
Yeah, and it's what the dystopian societies do, right? Like they control every aspect of your life.
Right.
You really don't have any choice, let's say.
And
whenever she's being like condemned to go outside, even the judges, let's say, get sad for her because they know her so well. And I think that's part of like the societal aspect of silo. Like they know each other so well that they even cheer for the other to survive, but then they end up
they even though you're being exiled, it's like you want, it's because they want a potential future outside the silo. So and that's like authoritarian systems, they fear memory. They can't stand memory because they want you to feel like the only world that's ever existed is the one that you're living in. And this is the only potential reality. So memory proves that the present is not inevitable. So Mario, what modern everyday object would become most mysterious if discovered 500 years from now, do you think?
Probably like an open bottle opener, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be like, what is this thing? Like what is this used for?
I see those and
they look weird anyway.
Yeah, I think they look complex, let's say. Maybe so we know that
in the future there'll be no more wine. I wouldn't surprise me if the bottle openers are a thing in the past, because they already look inherently like weird.
Or because even the automated ones are different, they are just like a tube.
Yeah.
And the more classic ones are kind of like
they almost look like they're like humanoid.
Yeah.
Or anthropomorphic.
So maybe that's the first thing that came to my mind. But that's an interesting question, like, yeah. And Doug Overhaul said a phone. I also thought a phone.
I think like a traditional phone for sure, like a rotary phone or a handheld phone. Any landline, I think, is already foreign.
Although I don't know how
to kids.
The phone or the smartphone could develop, like for the future.
Listen, over 10 years ago, they were already having a debate. They were like,
yeah,
I remember back in, even whenever, because after it became a brick, it just never evolved out of that.
Yeah.
It just got flatter and thinner.
Yeah.
And more,
they even tried to add buttons back, maybe like with, things that were
holograms,
kind of tactile, but they hadn't changed that much. So I wonder how could they change,
I think the only way to do it would be like to integrate it into ourselves, or for it to be like a holographic system where you can move, things with your hands or with gestures.
Yeah.
And I think there's some potential for that, but it's like, I think people are afraid to go into that territory because it's like where it's like machine and human, merge. I think that's something that Elon Musk is actively exploring.
Yeah.
But Silo does not begin by showing us the whole apocalypse. It gives us mystery, going back to that story. That's really narratively powerful because we experience the world as the inhabitants do, as I described. And this is not an ad for Silo. It's just like, it's a great example of, I think, the way we're kind of fed information and the way we So it's like, they're like, they don't know what to trust.
Yeah.
But the majority of people inherently trust the system because that's all they know. So we don't know which rule was created for survival and which rule was created for control yet at this point in the series. But it begs that question. And so, like, a question that we might be asking ourselves is like, how do we distinguish protection from imprisonment when we use the same walls?
Yeah.
So we might find out later that they're literally all prisoners and their memory's been swiped. That would not surprise me, actually.
Right.
Like, their memory has been wiped, and like they wake up here and who knows? But the idea that they're allowed to have children, I think, tells us that there's a potential future there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Well, that's Silo. That's covering Silo, the basics. So I think we're going to call it early tonight. And the reason why is because we're going to continue this series of dystopias. So this is Silo. You guys go check it out. I highly recommend it. If you guys are here, don't forget to like the video.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe.
So. Yeah.
This is Silo. And this is kind of the culmination of all these different dystopian novels, like We, or 1984, or Brave New World. It's very interesting. It's I'm definitely hungry to watch the rest of it.
I am.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's something that's very feels very delicious. So I definitely recommend Silo. So I think we're also living in a brave new world right now. So I think we're all kind of questioning, like, what does the future hold for us?
Yeah.
And these are some of the conversations that we're going to be having on this channel. So you guys are all invited to the party to participate. It never stops eating.
Because he said that Jimmy would be
maybe like the monster,
like the object that the future wouldn't know what it is. Like he said, Jimmy, as an AI, he'll survive 500 years and they won't know what to do. That's funny. It never stops eating.
That's funny, Dag Overhaul. You guys are funny. You guys don't forget to like the video.
Yes, please do so, guys. We're
gonna call it early tonight. Because Silo is we're going to leave you guys with that question, because we're going to explore this as we go. And since we go live on this channel, there's so many potential ways for us to go. So we encourage you guys to let us know in the chat, like what you'd like us to do with this channel. Because I'm always curious to see, like, what is conducive to a live discussion. Because I think, for me personally, like, where does the future go from here is the biggest question.
Yeah.
Like, where do we go as a society?
Yeah.
What's next, in terms of human evolution, human exploration, self-discovery, the arts, literature, filmmaking, introspection, in a world that's increasingly dominated by AI. I think that the question is, like, how do we find a sense of meaning in a world that's so automated? Mark Sands.
Hey, Mark Sands.
No, just in on no.
Mark Sands.
Oh no, it says Mark Sands. Well, Mark Sands, we were just touching on some of the basic elements of, like, why does art tend to show the future is nightmarish? and like a totally like miserable. And I think part of the reason why is because it feels like this inevitability, because of these systems that are coming into place with like constant surveillance, with like your smartphone, like convenience, everything that we think is convenient and great, like flipping it on its head, and it becomes something dramatically terrible. For example, like AI anticipating your needs. Well, the flip side of that is like you don't need to order anymore. We're just gonna control it, and the thing is gonna arrive. So it's like at a certain point, it feels like an inevitability that a dystopia would come into power, and a dystopia is defined by not society necessarily being in chaos, but the misery is built into the system itself. And that's what we've been just exploring and talking about. And Mark Sands, don't forget to like the video. But he says, because if not, what's to resolve? It says Silo is kind of a vertical Snowpiercer. Exactly, we may be doomed. A Snowpiercer is that train that's always going nonstop in the snow. And it's like there are people in the front of the train, there are people in the back of the train. Absolutely, and that's a great comparison. Snowpiercer is 100% a comparative, Silo. Property with Silo.
Wow,
have you seen Snowpiercer, Mario? Do you remember like the people in the back, like they're eating like this gelatinous substance? They later find out is like just bugs. I mean, I think bugs, it's better. Thank you, John Scott.
Thank you.
Right? Thank you, John Scott. I appreciate it. John Scott's like, y'all keep going.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, John Scott. We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
With Chris Evans, right?
Chris Evans is in it. It's Snowpiercer. Tilda Swinton's in it.
Oh yeah, she's great. Yeah.
I don't remember all of the details about it, but I remember that it's like it's a future world, and it's like if you're thrown off the train, it's so cold that basically you're presumed to die. I think there may be some twist in there. I don't fully remember Snowpiercer, but I think we may be doomed. Tanya, is that you? We may be doomed. Who is that?
Right.
Let me know what to call you. We may be doomed, because it's a great username.
Yeah, it's cool.
But no, Silo is very similar to Snowpiercer. The people at the top, it's not like a lot of people have much more like resources than others. It's more like how connected they are in terms of communication and culture. Because Rebecca Ferguson's character is Juliet, and she lives at the base, but she's actually chosen to be there. We find out that her dad is a doctor, and he actually attends to the babies and to the women who are in like the maternity ward. And so Rebecca Ferguson's character has elected by choice, and he describes to the mayor that she was always like very mechanically inclined. And so she works at the generator at the base of the silo, which it gives also a narrative reason for her to be able to explore some of the things that are at the base that the other levels would never be able to explore.
This is Snowpiercer, by the way, on screen.
Going back to Snowpiercer here.
Just to have a visual reference.
So there's Tilda Swinton. She's very good at playing these androgynous characters. And I think that's also part of this very dystopian too. Like there is no gender.
The aspect of what even what humans would look like in the future. Humans.
It's like what is the future hold for us? What does it look like? There's Octavia Spencer on the right.
Olivia, I think.
Thank you, Mark Sands. Conflict, dystopia is needed for resolution to be required. Yes, Mark Sands. Yes, but I guess the question is like how, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
At what point does the dystopia, at what point does it control all aspects of life? And so then it can drain our lives of meaning and the idea of like things happening. I think we already feel like so many things are kind of automated. Like when you're walking down the street, it's like if something's unexpected, it's like inherently wrong. Right? Like, not to say that there was ever a time in the past where people would just come up out of nowhere and be like, here's $100. But just the idea of things going wrong, is already a part of it's already a variable. But if you take that away, then it's like, gosh, it's like everything is predetermined. There's no meaning. There's no point to it all because we already know the end results. And we all, so that's what Silo's kind of exploring. And also, there always needs to be like this threat to keep everybody in a certain space. And I think that who knows? I mean, we might find out that there's been space travel this whole time. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
like,
that
but
would be crazy.
like the ideas of ancient apocalypse. Like there was a famous ancient society that actually did have technology and things like that.
Yeah,
I'm not a proponent of those theories, but I'm saying you can entertain a thought without accepting it, right?
Yeah.
Since Mark Sands is here, and since we can do one more,
AJ Play.
Let's do the platform.
Yeah.
Platform is actually one of the examples. It's in Spanish because it's plataforma.
Yeah.
The platform. So you guys let me know in the chat if you've seen the platform. The platform came out during the big flu, and it was similar to the silo in the sense that they had multiple levels. AG Play says, we are being punished there. I'm Russia, and people are starting to use horses again because of fuel prices. Wow, AG Play, that's wild. Mark Sands, I love the platform too. Whenever it came out, AG Play, thank you for sharing that, because this really drives home the message that this is already going on in different parts of the world.
Yeah, thank you.
There's an old expression that says, like, the future is here. It's just not here. It's not evenly distributed yet. And that could be a good thing, like technology, like accessibility. Like maybe smartphones have not arrived to like some people in North Korea yet. But also if it's like a dystopian future, it's like maybe it's already there, but it's like, so we're all living different lived experiences.
Yeah.
And I think the threat of danger or the threat of like starvation or exposure to the elements or poverty or being tortured is it can dramatically control a culture and a society. And so the platform, this is a Spanish film, and this was so cool. But food descends through a vertical prison, and those at the top, they feast, but those below receive whatever remains. The metaphor is not subtle though. And that's part of its power. People behave selfishly because the structure rewards selfishness. Because every single day you wake up and you're on a new level. So you could be at the top one day and the next day you may. So it's designed to like reward you. Like you should, splurge if you're at the top level, because you may wake up the next day and you're like, 50 levels down, let's say.
Okay.
So you don't know where you're going to be the next day.
Yeah.
So platform is really a fascinating character study.
I didn't watch this one, but it was really talked about.
You'll love this.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it several times because it's so brilliant in its simplicity. So this is a great film. If you guys have seen Platform, let us know. Yeah, AG Play said they did well with Platform. They really did.
It sounds like a great, metaphor as well for.
Yeah, and it cuts to the chefs too, like preparing the meals. Because they make it exquisite every single day. Okay, yeah. But by the time it like goes halfway down the platform, by the time it gets to the bottom, there's like no food left. Oh yeah. It's almost so it's like you have to, splurge if you're at one of the top levels because you don't know where you're gonna wake up the next day. So it's an incredible metaphor. It's so trippy. If you guys have seen this, you guys don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're here. Yeah. But this movie is a total trip. And I think the fact that it came out during like the lockdown, it added this level of like paranoia and hysteria that like kind of fed the nature of the film. Right. And it made the film so much more functional in that way. Cause it's like, oh yeah, I could totally see this being, the next step in this crazy world that we're living in.
Yeah. It sounds like I mean, dystopians can be
by convincing everyone that scarcity is unavoidable. And I think it's like a metaphor for like, like resources in the whole world. So it's like whenever you can boil things down to this very small subset of society, that's a really compelling way to make an argument. Yeah. And also a very visual way too. Yeah. We'll do another movie. We'll do another one. Let's do Alien. So Platform is really good. You guys check out Platform. That's where people are prisons in this, and you find there's like a twist at the end too. You find out that some people decide to go into the platform.
AJ said it's vertical 1984.
Absolutely. And Mark said you make a really good point. The girl who decides to write it is a genius because the platform goes up and down. And so it's designed just to hold the food. But it's like, what if you just get on the platform yourself? Now there's a danger of the other inmates, from the other levels harming you. But this girl gets on the platform because she's looking for her mother. And so she rides it all the way down to the bottom. Okay. Yeah. And the movie is like so trippy because you're like, it's like a metaphor or an allegory for for the world that we live in. Whether you can probably project onto whatever you're personally dealing with, or whatever you've struggled with.
It definitely sounds that way, like the trash, how the saying goes, like the trash for some is like the treasure for others.
Like definitely as they go down, like you become increasingly desperate because the platform is only on your level for a few minutes. So it's like 1 minute or something like that. So it's like once it gets there, and if it's your first day inside of this structure, like you don't really know all the rules yet. So it's like the other inmates, there's 2 inmates per floor. And so they kind of have to teach each other. So it's like, eat up. And so if you're waking up and it's your first day there, you don't have any memory of how you got there.
Right.
And so,
John Scott makes a good point. Like they were building this like line city. It was called the line, where it was like a vertical, well, not vertical, but horizontal, literal rectangle of like buildings and everything, so people could live there and have everything there. But it was like in the middle of the desert, and I think the project,
almost like the city in Saudi Arabia called the line. Yeah, I think there's a lot of metaphors you could put onto that. I think it's designed to represent the class, but it's also like, what if there's a class system that's like radically disrupted on a daily basis? Like how, like maybe class systems are already inherently, let's say, bad, quote unquote. But let's add another element to that, where every single day where you are in the cultural strata is like altered. Like somebody could be on the top level and the next day they're on the bottom level, or they wake up and then the third day and they're in the middle. So it's like this level of uncertainty that like leaves people in a suspended state of terror, like, at all times. But I think that's like kind of, there's extreme inequality in the world, but then people are also against the idea of everything being 100% equal. So it's like, where do we go from here in terms of a society? Because it's like there's like a struggle of we need to make everything egalitarian and equal, but then the other side of that is, if everyone is perfectly equal, then we're all under like perfect control. Right?
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. So this is Vegas. It goes on for miles and miles. We'll have to check that one out, John Scott. I'm going to learn about this city in Saudi Arabia called The Line. That sounds very fascinating. It's sad to get so rich. What you spend most of your day trying to get away from the rest of the world. AG Play 2290. Probably, I guess it depends on the person. I mean, there are some people who are like very, very rich and they decide to travel. Some people give back. Some people don't give back. And some people do like isolate themselves and away from society. But I think that that's probably a mistake because you become so out of touch with people. But I think it's also, I think most people are just out of touch because we're all inside of our cell phones. So you don't have to be rich or poor to be out of touch with society. I think you can be just as out of touch now if you're poor or rich or anywhere in between, because we're constantly kind of fed this, for lack of a better word, everything is like an algorithm. The algorithm feeds you increasingly what you already believe to be true, or a version of the truth that you already consider to be correct or an accurate representation of the exterior world. So I think it's very easy to like wake up one day and then be completely out of touch, because I think in some ways we're all out of touch. Mario, do you ever feel like you're out of touch? Like, have you ever talked to some people and you're like, am I out of touch? Or are you just crazy?
No, definitely. I feel like sometimes it just makes you feel that way. Even if you're not like quite out of touch, maybe, or even.
I love to travel. I mean, I travel to new places, and I feel like no matter, who I'm talking to, it's like, it's so easy to feel like, not that that I'm personally more disconnected than the average person, but just in general, like how disconnected we are as a people. And how like you and your neighbor can fundamentally disagree on every basic tenet of reality. But you're both neighbors and you live in the same country, you live in the same neighborhood. But there used to be this idea of like, we used to agree on certain things. And I think that we're increasingly turning to the internet to find our tribe. So if you guys are vibing with this, then subscribe and hit the like button, because that means we're part of your tribe. But the idea of like, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to have a community? And are we operating from a place of fear, or are we operating from a place of like wanting to evolve and to grow as a people? And I think that we have to be brave to ask these questions in public and see what kind of level of discourse we can have. Mark Sands, thank you guys so much for covering a couple more movies. I saw the live, tuned in, and y'all were saying goodbye. Y'all are amazing. Mark Sands, I was like, oh, this is for you, Mark Sands. It's like, it's like, one more. So thank you, Mark Sands. Truly appreciate you so much. Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, but Alien. The reason why Alien is another good movie to cover before we fit wrap is because Alien, everything is owned by the corporation. And so that's something that people kind of overlook because we're so enthralled with the terror of Alien.
Yeah.
But the reason why they're like encore, I love it. Yeah. But Alien is they're on the Nostromo. That's the very first ship that we encounter.
Yeah.
It's a corporate terminal. Wayland, it's the Wayland Industries is the company that owns like everything in this future.
Yeah.
And the alien is terrifying, but the corporation is potentially worse. The creature behaves according to its nature, but the company knowingly treats human lives as expendable in pursuit of valuable biological assets. So they actually want the alien for and any biological things. That's part of the alien story, like universe is like the understanding of like how powerful biologics are, like getting a biological sample of something,
right?
Like how powerful that is for like future technology, because not everything is going to be digital. Like the idea that like if we encounter an alien species, that alien species needs to be studied.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's a logical, thing to reach to. But the company knowingly, thank you, Keith Peavy House. I just logged in. I'm sad I missed the stream since the title seems so apt. Keith Peavy House, right? Doesn't this feel like the world that we're living in? This is why, don't you think Keith Peavy House is a compelling reason to go on a boat every day like you do?
Yeah.
Because it's like, if we're living in a world where everybody is, I think we are already in a dystopian future, but I think it's like, how much do we submit to the system is the question,
right?
Like how much do we surrender to it, And I think that's where we are as a society, and we're having that debate.
Yeah.
Mark Stanz's got his little spyglass on. Mark Stanz's got is it a tear?
Yeah, it's a tear.
Oh, it's a tear.
I mean, not to be.
When I was young, I never needed anyone.
Right, not to be doom and gloom, right? But it's just like how things feel, and it's just.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to offer, an alternative to.
Yeah, we got to explore all the different ways. The alien, the corporation is like knowingly evil, so it's like choose your like which one's more evil, the alien or the corporation. You could argue that the corporation is more inherently evil. It's so funny. Like from here, I thought yes, it was a little eyeglass, but it was a little tear.
That's funny.
Every time I see the teardrop in my mind, I'm like, when I was young, because it's such a good song.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's like that song, dreams were made and used and wasted.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's like what the youth is wasted on the young, but the future is not always governed by a dictator. Sometimes it's governed by like prophets. So, who do you guys think is a real villain in Alien? Is it the creature or is it the company? I think they're both, the immediate threat is the creature in Alien, the xenomorph, but the corporation is like a representation of all that is evil, like in terms of the human existence, like the future, this search for profits. But I also think that if you're going to go that far in terms of looking at how far a company can go, then you're going to look past profits and hopefully get to like the Star Trek world where there is no money in the future. But then again, if there's no money, then where's the drive, right? What are we fighting for? It says, long ago, I threw my heart into the ocean, hoping it would drown me, but it made me float instead. Keith, that's poetic. Did you just come up with that?
Keith, I love that.
I love it. I love that. Very poetic. You guys join the conversation. Very beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. You threw your heart into the ocean, hoping it would drown me, but it made me float instead. Sigourney is more evil. She kills the innocent alien creature. Dag Overhaul, please. Dag Overhaul likes to joke, you guys. No, Sigourney Weaver was very hesitant to even take this job because she doesn't like weapons. She doesn't like, she's very like anti-guns. So it was like, actually though, she's in this quest of, she's trying to do her job the best she can. And she's very much, if you watch the movie, like everything she does is incredibly logical. She's not like thirsty for blood. She's not overly aggressive. Everything Sigourney Weaver's character does is completely inside the lines of a logical person who's doing everything within their power to survive this horrific nightmare situation. That's what makes this such a cool movie, is because she plays it very logically, but she's also, tough as nails. Yeah. Because she's got a maternal instinct inside of her, which comes out in the sequels as well. So I love Alien. I think Alien really explores the human experience. If you guys are new here, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe.
Please do so, guys. Yeah.
Mario, have you seen Alien?
Yeah. It's scary, but I mean, aside from that, it's just like a bigger picture, and I think the way it plays out is like, I don't know, it's just creepy, but
it's definitely scary. It's like there are video games that are based off of it. People love Alien because it's such a anytime you can create a universe that gives you such a visceral response, like the fear and the terror, you've got some gold on your hands.
Yeah.
So that's why the Alien universe is still going. And so I hopefully they'll bring back Sigourney Weaver because I think she is so.
Yeah.
Some of these, like the legacy characters, are so key to some of these franchises. People don't realize it's like part of it is because maybe the original concept wouldn't have worked without the charisma of a certain person. Star. Yeah, like your Harrison Ford or your Sigourney Weaver,
right?
Or your Princess Leia, whoever it may be.
Yeah.
But let's look at Blade Runner next, because we've covered Blade Runner, but we never actually covered like the idea of like this of the replicants and like the tragedy of what it means to be a replicant. Because in Blade Runner, you can probably tell me the plot of Blade Runner, but I've got like the overall. But we manufacture beings that are capable of fear. So the replicants are actually afraid of being like terminated. But they're classified as equipment.
It follows Rick Deckard, played by Harrison Ford, who is a cynical ex-police officer tasked with hunting down a group of rogue bioengineered androids known as replicants. Who have escaped to Earth.
You guys super chats for Mario. He's doing an amazing job.
Thank you guys.
Keep going.
Yeah, that's like the plot.
Yeah, so basically he's tasked with hunting down the android robot people that are called replicants. And so there's some of this, in Alien, there are androids that are in Alien. And there's a later plot point where it's like, they're more humane than the humans, but there's a little bit of that being explored in Blade Runner, in the sense that the replicants are designed to fear and possibly even love. And so in Blade Runner, it's like technology has succeeded, but the tragedy is that the moral imagination like couldn't keep pace. So it's like if we keep expanding technologically, it makes sense that like if we're making people that are basically like in our image, they can also experience fear, love, all these different things. At what point are we the monsters? They're kind of like Frankenstein. This idea, because so much of Frankenstein is like, it has to be destroyed. It has to be destroyed. I have notebooks full of thought doodles, and no complete sentence says Keith Peavy House. Well, you can test your material here at Keith Peavy House. This is a great audience for you we're a great audience for you to test your poetry.
Yeah.
You were a poet and didn't even know it.
No, that's amazing. Yeah.
That's an old joke, but it's a good one. It's a good one. So yeah, the darkest futures are often created when technology, the capabilities of it advances faster than like the moral responsibility. And I think that we're definitely just there in terms of also just like attention spans, like with children. Like, is it morally responsible to give your little child a smartphone or a tablet at 4 or 3, or as a baby?
Myself the same thing.
I think that's very debatable. I think
I mean,
they're right now at this very moment they're trying to outlaw it for young people below the age of 16 all over Europe, let's say. And they've already banned it in Australia, and they're struggling with actually exercising that ban because it's like your mind is still developing. So it's like, what are going to be the consequences for this future with kids that literally don't know how to, anything that bores them, they're just like, they think everything is a swipe away. There's a crisis in the classroom right now where kids are literally reading books and they're sitting there frustrated and they're trying to swipe on their, have you seen this? I'm like, that is mind blowing, but totally logical, because they're spending the vast majority of their time, their waking hours on these devices. They're trying to swipe on like books in the classroom on worksheets, because it's like, and maybe they know that they can't, but it's like, it's such a reflex. It's like, I'm bored with this, next thing, entertain me, machine. It's like, dang, that's scary.
It is
It's very scary, but it also that's like the moral dilemma that we're living in now, is like, at what point do we, like, where do we pull back and be like, okay, this is, what do we have to designate an age for when you're allowed to be exposed to different technologies? We're living in a defining era. Like, this is why we're talking about these topics is because it's on everyone's mind. Like we're already thinking about it because we're seeing our cousins, our nephews, our children, our grandchildren being affected by it. So it's something that has to be talked about, because it's just there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then we've talked about RoboCop. Do you have RoboCop in there? And the reason why RoboCop is funny because some people think of like RoboCop as like 80s or 90s cheese, but it's really not. It's actually exploring very deep themes.
Yeah.
But it's a corporation purchasing public services, commodities, and law enforcement, and rebuilds a dead officer as a company property. And there's some similarities in terms of Alien in the sense that like the corporation owns everything. So the corporation is like running the city, and it owns like law enforcement itself. So it sounds like, and it's exaggerated until you realize the film's satire depends on everything being only slightly more absurd than reality. So the tragedy of the character Murphy, which is RoboCop, is that the corporation sees his body as just hardware. So his body is just hardware. So he's like trapped in this kind of moral dilemma of having to be the enforcer, but he's also a slave to this system.
Yeah.
So, he remains, his remaining humanity becomes an unauthorized like feature. So if technology rebuilds your body, like who owns the results? And they even explore that in Black Mirror as well.
Yeah.
This is violets are red, roses are red, violets are blue, grass is green. The sun is yellow. How's that? Mark Sands. Mark Sands, I'll take it. Love it, Mark Sands. So no, this is RoboCop. Mark Sands, you guys are great for being here. Especially as we're finding our voice on the channel too.
Yeah.
And I think there's something very liberating about that, like finding it in real time.
Yeah.
Because I think whenever you're putting on a show, whether you're an audience member or the person putting it on, there's such an active dance going on.
Yeah.
But this is a still from the original RoboCop. But it really explores a real dilemma. Like, your biological, like your body is now a machine. So, but the machine is being controlled and you're receiving, wireless, controls and you're processing data. It's kind of like a smartphone.
Yeah.
So it's like, would you want that life? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
very
question
scary.
that must be asked, I think.
Thank you for your poetry, Mark Sand. Also a poet that didn't know it.
Yeah.
Do we have any pictures from Severance, by the way?
Not yet, but I can have them definitely.
Because the reason why Severance is so interesting is because I think people do love the idea of the work-life balance and how it's like the only way to solve that would be truly horrifying. So I guess some of the, like with RoboCop or with any of these concepts, they're actually trying to solve a problem theoretically, but it's creating so many more problems along the way. So by solving something perfectly, you create this whole ocean of other things. And the only way to avoid that ocean of other things is to implement these dystopian systems of control. And by doing that, you've stripped people away of their freedom, of their hope for the future, of their creativity, of their free will, and just the beauty that is life, and all the different things that can come from the unexpected. So that's what I think. That's like the ultimate like betrayal of your consumer, is if or whatever you want to call it. I mean, the fact that I'm even referring to human beings as consumers is already in dangerous territory.
Yeah, that's kind of like a telling thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like the fact that I'm like our job is to consume, right? So we're definitely inside of we're already plugged into a system. It's just how plugged in are we?
Yeah.
And at what point do we not have a choice anymore?
Yeah. And if you guys have watched Severance, let us know what you think, because I haven't watched it, but I've heard it's, also.
I was going to ask if you've seen this. So this is definitely exploring the idea of like work-life balance. It's like, is work-life balance ever a real thing, or is it just it's its own theory? So the employee's work identity has no access to the life outside the office. So this is something that Andre talked about. But there's the innie and the outie. So the innie is inside the office, and the outie is the person who existed, who originally signed up to work in this type of job.
Okay, yeah.
And so I haven't seen Severance, but I know enough about it to speak to its core ideas. I'm sure there are some people in the audience who have seen this show and who love Severance.
Yeah.
But it's like your corporate self and your actual self, they're divorced from each other. So you don't know what's going on. And then the innies want to realize what's going on the outside. Yeah. And so it's like I think two distinct selves become developed inside of each individual. So it kind of shows you how much can you can't. There's no such thing as work-life balance. There's no such thing as like a perfect way to do anything. Like, and so it's like anything that you take to its perfect form, in a way, is horrifying.
Yeah, in a way, so
hopefully you love what you do and you're learning from it, and there's something inherently rewarding about it. Because I would never sign up to be in a job like that. Because now I say that, but I don't. The people at the innies don't know, right? They don't know that they've been signed up for this, so they don't realize they're inside of this. There's no meaning, there's no weekend, there's no home. Like the innie has no childhood, no meaningful ability to resign.
Well, yeah.
So this gives me a compelling reason to watch this show for sure.
Yeah. We May Be Doomed said it took a few tries, but finally hooked me. Severance. That's interesting.
They finally hooked you. Finally hooked me. Severance. I think the reason why it's so compelling is because it just feels so like plausible.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody else has watched Severance, let us know, guys, and let us know what you think. I think, we were talking about Silo a while ago, and
these are both Apple shows.
I'm just surprised of how we can develop also ways to portray what could be seen as dystopian, right? Like,
I think it's ironic that Apple is the one producing these shows.
Yeah,
because I think I think that they're inherently dystopian, but I think that their products could be.
Yeah,
like they could be contributing.
Yeah, and I mean, just the fact that we can come up with so many ideas of how dystopian looks like, I think that's interesting on itself.
Like we've explored like so many ways things can go wrong.
Yeah,
and like one of the only good examples of things going right is Star Trek.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think that's kind of like the premise here, is that there are so many futures that are just downright miserable.
Yeah.
How is it that people are sitting around thinking of, how could we make this terrible? Like, how can we make this idea like absolutely awful?
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. It is fascinating.
And then, and if we got to talk about Gattaca, so we can go to Gattaca next. Gattaca, you will have it in there.
Yeah.
In your thing. And Gattaca imagines discrimination not based on what you have, like what you've done, let's say. Like, let's say your moral character, what you've done in the past, but it's about what your genes predict you might become. So it's all about eugenics, and it's all about what, like, you're born, and like ideas of predestination. And one idea is like there's predestination, the idea of it, and there's another thing where society reads your genes and then enforces a future upon you. And I think that's very scary, because I think there is an inherent desire inside of the individual to climb socially.
Yeah.
Or economically or whatever, to reach higher heights and to have some level of stability or achievement or even recognition, societal recognition. I'm constantly wondering, I'm like, I wonder what the future of like a celebrity looks like.
Yeah.
What does the future of like achievement look like? Because we know, like in sports, I feel like those are like our idols right now, because I feel like the celebrity like from Hollywood was held on such a higher pedestal back in the era of like Judy Garland.
Yeah.
And now people don't even know, who some of these celebrities are. A lot of these kids, you could put like, they don't know who Angelina Jolie even is.
Yeah.
Where someone like me is like, that's one of the most famous people in the world.
Right.
How do you not know?
Right. Yeah.
So Gattaca is all about, deciding your place in life based off of your genes. It's frightening because prediction begins to replace the experience. So their prediction of what's going to happen becomes your whole like life. So it's like your prediction of what's going to happen with your life becomes your life, because they've already read your genes and said this is what it has, this is how it's going to play out.
Right.
Period.
Right.
So it simply removes like uncertainty. The system believes it's rational, but uncertainty is where human possibility lies, right? So if you take away the idea of uncertainty, then there's no people going on a limb, trying new things, being brave, being willing to fail. This is one of the most dystopian futures ever, that's played like with beautiful people in a beautiful like world that's highly controlled. So I would definitely recommend Gattaca. I think it's something that a lot of the younger audiences have not seen, but it's definitely one of the most well thought out potential futures
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's
okay,
like
yeah.
basing everything off of genes.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, like your genes are and essentially your blueprint, right?
Yeah.
For your life.
Yeah, they're very determining of everything. Yeah.
It takes me forever to search on my phone. I was thinking of the show Jericho. KPP House, that show only I think it ran for one season, but I remember that show Jericho. Jericho was I think it was Skeet Ulrich who was the star of that show, if I'm not mistaken. He was the killer in the first Scream.
Yeah, Skeet Ulrich.
Yeah. See, I remember that was Jericho is in the Bible. Remember the angels go outside. I think it's outside of Jericho. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. In the Bible story, and they shake the walls of Jericho down
with like trumpets.
With trumpets,
yeah.
So in Spanish, what is it?
Jericho.
Jericho. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There it is on screen, guys. Just
John Scott, I think you're right about that. Especially for young people, because everyone has like their audience. So it's very interesting to see how people grow their audience and what people are willing to do. And I think so here's this is Keith PB House's recommendation here is Jericho. So what's the premise of Jericho?
It says,
but this is why we do it live, because you guys bring stuff to the table that we didn't have in the plan. This is why we don't believe in predestination, because you guys throw us curveballs. It's good.
It follows the residents of a small Kansas town as they try to survive after multiple nuclear attacks destroy major American cities. So the community becomes completely isolated, facing resource shortages, social collapse, and dark secrets harbored by neighbors like Robert Hawkins. It is...
that sounds like a dystopian story.
Yeah.
And I guess they're calling it Jericho because I think Jericho in the Bible, weren't they kind of... They got in trouble for walling themselves off?
I think it was like destruction from a city. Well, like the walls of a city that was... I guess
full of sin or something, right?
Protecting, yeah, I think so.
So yeah, this is good. Thank you, PPS, for suggesting this. We're gonna check out Jericho.
Yeah,
I think this was on the CW. I can't remember. This is like early 2000s lore here. Thank you, Mark Sands. Because I can't spell confetti. That took me like 3 minutes. LOL. You're hilarious. Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Sands, so much. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Confetti, yeah, interesting word.
So,
but there you have it, guys.
There's Jericho.
I mean, it sounds like a great recommendation. So
it does, and I think these shows too. It's like so much of the beauty is in the unknown.
Yeah.
Right. So much of the beauty is like in these concepts that they're designed to awaken the curiosity inside of the viewer.
Completely.
And I think these shows achieve that 100%.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let's do Children of Men next. Let's see that. This is from a Mexican director.
Yeah.
And this is a movie that I go back to again and again because it makes me feel like, because the movie actually takes place in 2027. Hello. So it was made in 2026 and it's made it about 20 years into the future. So which is our current. And so Children of Men is where it's right there on the poster. This is the year 2027, the last days of the human race. No child has been born for 18 years. He must protect our only hope. So Julianne Moore is his, I think it's his ex-wife, and she shows up and she wants him to assist because he works for this authoritarian government. Like most governments have already collapsed in this dystopian future.
Yeah.
And really, the UK is like as the dystopia. Like the rest of the world is just in total like shambles after some fallout. And so she wants him to save this girl who's the only pregnant person on Earth.
Yeah.
And so it's like a symbol for humanity. And I think it's it was like a prophetic choice to direct this because it's just prescient. It was so ahead of its time. And I think maybe the only difference is that I do know that like sperm counts are down, and all these different things that are like biological, but also people are just choosing to not have children as well.
Yeah.
So it's people actively choosing to not have children, as well as there being an actual fertility crisis as well.
Yeah.
They talk about it on podcasts. They have experts come in and try to describe like sperm counts from the earliest times of counting.
Yeah.
And they blame it on a recipe of things from hormones to microplastics to all these different things. It's a very interesting discussion around fertility. If you guys want us to talk about that more in future lives, let me know.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's something that can't be talked about enough. Because I was just out on the street today and I saw so many children, and I saw two children, and I always want to like take them and be like, I want to take care of your children. But surely there's someone nearby who's kind of like watching them, and you can't just take a kid and be like, I'll take care of you,
No.
But there were so many children on the streets. It was so heartbreaking, but I'm like, I don't know what to do because, raising a child is so incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
We're drawn to dystopia. This is Keep House. Then why do we hope for a utopia? Is there even a point? I think we're drawn to, thank you for Keep House, first of all. Thank you so much. I think we're drawn to dystopias because it's definitely like a warning for where we are now. It's like we're in clear and present danger.
Mm-hmm.
That idea, like I think we know instinctually that we're in clear and present danger. Like it's here, it's coming, and it's like it also begs the question. It's like, how collective can we be in terms of like solving our problems? Can we put our differences aside when it feels like there are more and more ways to divide us? Right? There are more and more reasons for us to feel like the other.
Yeah,
and I think that's why things like music bring us together. And I think it's really beautiful when you see like some of these images from like Woodstock from the 70s. And, this idea of like before everything got so twisty turny, things just kind of feel like they may be going in the wrong direction for a variety of reasons. And I think it's up to the individual to speak your truth. And I think us going on here is like an act of defiance too, to have the conversation. Because I think people are slowly getting warped. And, I think Bette Midler said it best. She was like, thank God for Twitter, because before I used to just scream down manholes. And I'm like, that's really hilarious.
Yeah.
That idea of just like wanting you to make your point come across and just going and screaming down manholes to make you to feel like you've been heard on some level.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream, but it was like, us, going into a public park and just like squirming on the ground to like be like, I need some attention. I need someone to witness my pain. I think that's very real.
Yeah.
Gizmo says it seems like movies are play on our fears. We have the world population shrinking. We have AI growing. We have the loss of autonomy amongst the people of the world. Absolutely, Gizmo, 100%. That's why these dystopian novels, TV shows and movies, it's like we're kind of ripe for them, and we've already been eating them up since as early as like 1904 with the Napoleon of Notting Hill.
Yeah,
which Notting Hill is not just a romantic comedy or a neighborhood in London. Notting Hill, the Napoleon of Notting Hill, is a book from 1904. You guys go check it out. It's about this dystopian future where the leader is chosen at random and doesn't really give a crap about what happens with the future. And so he starts this rebellion just by an inside joke.
Yeah.
This is another great movie, Clear and Present Danger. Yeah, Mark Sands. As I was saying that, I was like, someone's probably going to mention that's also a movie. So that's a term. It's like, for example, like on the eyes of the law, it's like you can't defend yourself. Like you can't justify an attack on someone else unless you were in clear and present danger, type of thing. Or it's like if a political figure or a public figure, you don't want them to be in clear and present danger because it's like, Miley Cyrus said she doesn't do stadiums anymore because they can't truly control the security, and she doesn't feel safe. And I'm like, that's valid.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that's totally valid. I get that.
Yeah.
Hey, David Young, how are you? What's going on?
Hello, David.
We're so glad you're here.
Yeah.
So, so Children of Men was about the last, baby to be born on Earth.
So. Yeah. And I think the idea of also preserving, of life it's complex in and of itself, but also just I don't know. Also, this movie, for example, trying to see how that would play out, I think it's interesting because I do think ultimately we would unravel. And to answer Keith's question, also, I do think that maybe I don't know. I think there's a point to think of utopia, but at the same time, it kind of is out of our control sometimes. I think that.
I think best case scenarios, we don't worry about them because we're like, that's the best case scenario. So, but I do think we want to design the world, the world to kind of go in that way. But it's like, I guess the only example for us to really see that is like Star Trek.
Maybe, I do think ultimately utopia is just us trying our best and doing our best. And
what's so sad is that utopias almost inherently feel absurd.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, please, like, we'll really get along. It's like, dang.
No,
and I think they said it best. It's like, are we that pessimistic? Well, maybe.
I mean, maybe.
Do you want to look up the movie The Road?
Yeah.
That's another movie that's like kind of heartbreaking. That this is, I think, more of like an apocalypse than the dystopia.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think it's like when there's like almost like nothing left. And I think the audience has probably seen The Road. At least if you haven't, whenever we have the visuals here in a second, you guys will speak to it.
Yeah.
I know, John Scott. I know. We just got monetized, so they're going to add commercials. So that's why I think it's also worth just to be a YouTube Premium member as well, because you can skip the ads altogether, and you also get YouTube Music included. This is not an ad. Thank you, Keith PV House.
Thank you.
It seems every old person has always said the generation before was better. So are we just on a continuous decline? Is there some kind of intersection of slopes where we get better? Keith PV House, that's a great question. I think this is one of the first times in history where the children know actively, and then it's clear and the data is out there that they're inheriting a less equal. They have less of a chance of, maybe the average person of like owning a home or starting a family, and raising children in a reasonably coherent society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark Sands. Confetti, yes. But I do think it's like a matter of perspective as well, Keith. As you said, every generation says that.
And thank you for the super chat, you guys. It helps us keep going as well.
Thank you.
We're actively looking for like a third person so that Mara and I can now be out here and discuss. We have like a technical person. I'm always curious too, like how hard would that person be to find? How hard,
Yeah.
Because they have to speak English, number one, and also like be down for the job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So John Scott says there is no sanctuary. Even Logan had to run. Yeah, which is Logan's run. So the road. So did you explain the road?
Not yet. No.
Okay. Why don't you explain the road, and then we'll do it with Logan's run, because Logan's run is really crazy good.
The Road is a 2009 American post-apocalyptic survival film directed by John Hillcoat. It was based on a novel, and it is a man and his young son struggling to survive after an unspecified catastrophe results in an extinction event, which causes the death of all plant life and virtually all animal life. The man and boy travel on a road to the coast in hope that they can find safe haven, scavenging for supplies in their journey and avoiding roaming cannibalistic gangs armed with guns.
This is definitely like apocalyptic. Like there's like nothing left.
Yeah.
And so they're making this way down a road, and so it's like the darkest. It's like the darkest case scenario. Like there's literally like nothing. It's like there's like a perpetual rain going on. It's just horrific. So Robert Duvall's in this. Cody Smith McPhee and the Charlize Theron. She's really done a good job of making sure that she shows up in all of these really incredible properties and films.
Yeah,
I'm really quite impressed with her.
Yeah, she's great.
Because it's hard to cement your resume in that way. And so I loved Apex this year, for example. She's been in several good films this year.
Yeah.
So The Road is a very tragic film. It's like kind of like The Mist, but it's even more bleak because that's a good word too in English, bleak. Like just like so dire, so so dark and so grim. Like this future where there's like literally nothing left. And so they're just trying to like make it down the road. And I think it's like a metaphor too for, some people it's like they feel like they're at the end of their road,
Yeah. Cody Smith is cool. Yeah, he's has an interesting look. So
is it the little kid Cody is now 30 years old? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Child acting is so difficult because the child has to really want it. They have to go through all the things they go through physically, like puberty and all the different things, and see if they want to continue acting or not. And that's why a lot of child actors don't continue acting, is because they do find other interests, which is totally fine. But it's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
John Scott, I agree. There's got to be somebody out there, and I think there is. I think it's just a matter of it's the language is a big part of it because we speak actually really advanced. If we're in Mexico City, you don't like they have to understand like when I'm queuing, they can't be like, oh wait, what are you saying? Because you have to really follow along logically if you're working in the circuit board. Like if you're working the switchboard, you've gotta John Scott, yeah. You have to find it like someone like kind of like Mario, you know, for us to grow out. Because I think it will actually expand our creativity, but they have to be able to keep pace. Because we can't like dumb it down for that person to just basically understand what's going on. That's like the dilemma. We may even find an American from someone from Rama Condesa. We may have to go take a day's trip and just go walk. Because I think that there are some digital barriers out there.
Yeah.
We have to put a job on Indeed, you guys. So help us out. That's why your super chats help so much. Okay, so that was the road. Yeah. And then Logan's Run is definitely worth talking about. Logan's Run is a good one because you have a dot in your hand. It's a future society. Everyone lives under this dome. And you can probably pull up the premise of Logan's Run. Yeah. That way you can also learn about it as well. Because I've told you about it, but this is like cemented in your mind.
Yeah. So
and people who are around, they remember seeing Logan's Run and it being like terrifying.
Yeah. So Logan's Run centers in a 23rd century doomed city where life appears perfect, but citizens are legally required to die at age 30 during a ritual called Carousel. The story follows Logan 5, a law enforcement officer tasked with killing people who try to escape before he is forced to flee the city himself. So
I don't even know if that's the actual poster. You guys, do you know if that's the original poster? Because I don't think that's actually Logan. I think that may have been like a book cover.
Oh, okay.
Or a made-for-TV movie. Because I think the actual Logan is the guy from Cabaret, the actor. The chat can let me know because I feel like our audience, like they know this, they know what's up. But I feel like this is an alternate, either like a TV movie or because I don't remember that being Logan.
Richard Jordan, no, Michael Jork. Michael Jork was Logan.
Yeah, but isn't he like blonde?
Yeah, he's like almost
like my hair,
Asian adjacent in a way.
Yeah, I have some more pictures of Logan's Run on that computer.
Yeah.
So Logan's Run is something that people of a certain age will already know it. Keith, it says wasn't Logan blonde? That's what I'm saying. Keith Peavy House.
Yeah. So
there's like an image of the hand. It's like when your dot turns red. I think it turns red or white. I think it's white, and then if it turns red, it's like your time is up. And so you're basically you're actually vaporized.
Yeah, I think this is Logan, right? With the robe, kind of.
That's him, yeah.
And
it's like like a hallmark of this movie too is like the androgynous casual wear of people.
Yeah.
And like people kind of walking around in robes. I mean, they kind of like, listen, that looks comfortable to me.
No, it looks nice, yeah.
But like the idea of like people wearing that, I think it's very plausible. But we could do a whole video on like the way fashion is depicted in the future.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
You know, like that is a whole topic. Yeah. Like the way you guys don't forget to like the video if you're here as well.
Yeah.
But we're looking at, if you guys are just not joining us, we're looking at the movie Logan's Run and some of the themes here in terms of like population control, like a dystopian future. You can only get to live to the age of 30. There's a dot on your hand, and when it changes colors, your time is up. And so this guy, his job is to actually catch the runners. But it's very much like Fahrenheit 451, where he's like a firefighter, but he's not really a firefighter. He actually starts the fires to burn the books. And then he is, the way you make a compelling dystopian story is make your protagonist part of the problem.
Yeah.
And then they have a wake-up call. They have some kind of cerebral epiphany or a moral awakening or an awakening with their own integrity. And they have to break apart from the system.
Oh, okay.
And that's what happens with Logan. Logan himself is an enforcer, and he catches people on the run, and then he's forced to go on the run himself.
Okay,
which is it's a great narrative device. So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
I agree. Keith Peavy has that first picture. I think is like from the book, or it's like it's imagining. But I downloaded it.
Failed TV series.
That's what I was thinking, John Scott. I was like, it's got to be. I was like, it's too real to like. It's not AI. I was like, it was some property. Yeah. And that's the thing about TV too, is that so many shows. The reason why they don't succeed is because television is so expensive. People do not realize television shows cost like $1 million plus per episode. Like minimum. It's usually like $5 to $8 million, like minimum. That's like rock bottom. And the only way to even achieve that is to go to like these really, to go to Canada for these extreme tax rebates, or to go to places like, even Wednesday, they shoot it in like Serbia or Bulgaria. So television shows are so expensive. It says, I want military pajamas. Yeah, me too, Keith PBS. Super chats for military pajamas. So Logan's Run is a good thing to go back and watch, especially probably the majority of people haven't seen Logan's Run because it is that old. Brave New World on Peacock, based on the 1932 book by Aldous Huxley. Yeah, we may be doomed. I would love to know what your real name is. I love that. But I think that came out on Peacock. I haven't seen it, but I'd be curious to see it. But I think it was like the level of The Giver, where it's like it didn't like leave a taste in people's mouth. It didn't have a lasting cultural, point. Like The Giver, the book, is incredibly impactful, but The Giver, the movie, forgettable for some reason.
Yeah.
And I think that you could probably do an analysis, like why are some movies like The Hunger Games, like they elevate the material, or like Harry Potter, they elevate the material, and then other things, it feels like it reduces it. Kind of like the Moana remake. It was like the animated movie had more life than this movie. So what is that? What is that that's going on in terms of the viewer and its our ability to touch our soul? Because sometimes the derivative work ends up enhancing on the original story. Like The Devil Wears Prada, I actually read that book, and the movie totally enhanced on the story in the book. So this is the latest one. This is very recent. It says decent show but didn't take off. Yeah, I didn't see this one, and I think it just it was a blip under the radar. But that actor, he's really beloved in Hollywood, and he was in Weapons. He was Han Solo. That movie also didn't work. And Solo, that was a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah, I think his name is too complicated for people to remember it. It's Alden Eggert. What is it?
Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich. Okay. Yeah, you just put it in the chat.
Did you ever get the book Alice?
No, but I'm gonna order it right now. KPV House. I'm gonna order it, and I'll read it, and it'll also become a decoration piece. So KPV House. Did you know that Jimmy went and he went in, and his mother went in and changed his like all these super chats that go to his account. So there's just a lot of weird family stuff going on right now that we're dealing with, and it's just part of it. But I will get that book, Alice Babylon. Sounds very good. It's keep us. He broke it down for me before. But that show that for Peacock, A Brave New World, is interesting that they didn't market it, because I didn't hear a thing about it.
Right.
It's just whenever I look up Brave New World, I see it in terms of the search results.
Right.
So it's pretty wild.
It's wild. Yeah.
So the actor's name is Alden Ehrenreich. Yeah, if I were him, I would have changed my name just to make me more like marketable. Because I feel like he needs a shorter name, like, Yeah. What about the movie Passengers? That's a good movie. To study. So Passengers was kind of they kind of did it. It was like a misfire because they were expecting it to like make $1 billion, and it didn't. I don't think it was a full bomb, but it was like a definite box office disappointment for Jennifer Lawrence, and Chris Pratt. Because you had like all those celebrities at one time were Chris's. It was like Chris Evans, Chris Pratt, Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth. They were all Chris's. Yeah. And I was like, holy moly, everybody's Chris.
Yeah, true.
And I was like, simulation theory and commence. So here's Passengers. I actually did like this movie, but I can understand why it didn't resonate with people fully. And I think part of the reason why, you guys don't forget to like the video if you're new here. Don't forget to like the video. So Passengers, it's about these two people on a spaceship. Chris Pratt wakes up out of his sleeping pod because they're supposed to be asleep for like hundreds of years. He wakes up early but due to like a glitch because they get into like an asteroid belt, and then he forcefully wakes up Jennifer Lawrence and pretends that it's also a glitch. And they realize the conflict is that they realize that they're stranded on this ship for the rest of their lives as it's on an interstellar travel. So it's like they're doomed to like live out their days on this ship as it's reaching its destination, which is a inherently very fascinating concept.
Yeah. Kid said you mentioned Passengers in a movie bump, and I immediately thought of snakes on a plane.
That's hilarious. There are snakes on this Samuel L. Jackson is so iconic.
Yeah.
Like what a way to get so many iconic lines. I mean, it was really revolutionary casting, putting him in Pulp Fiction. That really changed his career trajectory forever. He'd already been on the radar, but that movie like gave him so many creative people license to like write to him, right to that level of like profanity and that level of, you know, he's such an interesting way.
Yeah. Yes, Sultan, we do.
Yes, they do. They've got all kinds of food in Mexico. Yeah. You guys don't forget to like the video. We'll do one more super chat and then we're gonna call it a night, you guys.
Please don't forget to like the video.
Yeah, don't forget to like the video. And don't forget to subscribe. But Passengers, I actually did enjoy Passengers. I think it's worth watching because it does explore, you know, what that would look like, the ship. There's some things that don't really quite make sense too. Like there's the guy who works at the bar. Okay. And I'm like, so for hundreds of years, he's just there at the bar waiting. Thank you, Mark Sands. How do y'all feel about YouTubers being scouted by Hollywood? That weird negative space horror film made. So that was Backrooms and Backrooms and Obsession were made from YouTube. Obsession were made by YouTubers. I think it's great. I think it's you got to go out and make the thing that you want to make. You have to do it well, and you have to execute on your premise. And I think the audience that's young, it's like they want to see people from their generation succeed too.
Yeah. So
I think it's partially that. It's like some people on the older end of Gen Z, it's like they want to see other Gen Z people succeed because, for example, I think the only like Oscar winner is that Mickey Madison.
Mickey Madison, yeah.
Yeah. But I think there was something that we kind of discount. Like there's something about like this late stage of capitalism or whatever we want to call the current era that we're living in. And thank you, Mark Stan, so much.
Thank you.
But it kind of just feels like, you know, they want to support each other. I don't think the movie is necessarily like revolutionary, but I think it explores some of it's an expanded universe of like TikTok trends or like spirited ink, whatever it's called.
Yeah, like interestingly enough, these two movies like came out of, you know, internet. Like the internet was the whole lore of them, and so I think with Backrooms, I won't comment much on the movie, but I do think, and I do think it's positive for these creators or filmmakers to, you know, also, be representative of a new generation of filmmaking. Interestingly enough, both movies did like really, really well,
like crazy good,
unexpectedly well.
I think that's a clear sign that people had to go out of their way, to go see those movies, because I don't think that the plots were necessarily like conducive to like being huge crowd pleasers. And maybe on some level they are, we just don't realize it. Like Marvel is like, go big, the whole planet's in terror, the whole city will be destroyed, you know, whereas it's like, no, this guy just is lonely and he can't ask a girl out. That is enough. Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of wild. This is gonna make more than your Marvel movies and your Supergirl and all these different things. So I think it was like a conscious and concerted effort by audience members to go individually as individuals, right? And it ended up becoming like a tent pole, but it wasn't like a tent pole.
It wasn't like a fabricated one, manufactured one.
So Mark, does that give you an answer? Because we've been studying this too, because we work in this business and we like to talk things out live in front of an audience to figure it out. And I think for Backrooms and for Obsession, there was a concerted effort to go support Gen Z filmmakers, and I think that the products are good too.
I do think that whenever a filmmaker, you know, goes out and do its thing, the maturity level that they reach once they are like more situated within the filmmaking industry shows, and so I'm excited for them to showcase that maturity once they reach, like, you know, more movies and whatever.
That's the thing, right? It's your follow-up. That's always like, no matter what industry you're in, it's like, what have you done for me lately? It's like, what's your latest project?
You know, because I do think that maturity ultimately helps the movie to, or whatever they're doing to showcase that they've learned from life and so on. So did you watch that movie, Mark Sands? Did you watch Backrooms?
John Scott says he couldn't sit through it. I mean, I get that. I actually get that. And I think that's my point. That's why I'm not saying it's like not bad, but it's not like, I don't think anyone's coming out being like, oh my God, revolutionary.
No.
So I think there's definitely a lot of like peer support. Maybe not, I was almost said pure worship. I don't know where that came from, but I do think there's a lot of peer support, which I think is a good sign.
Yeah.
Because I think Gen Z has like been defined by being splintered off.
Yeah. Thank you,
Feeding my ego by besting Mark as I log off. I need to catch my dinner.
Wow.
I get a big fish later tonight. I want another.
Yes.
Nice.
That sounds amazing.
So he says, I need to catch my dinner. You got to go catch it. So night fishing, love it.
No, that sounds lovely. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Keith,
for all your support.
Thank you for being so awesome.
And thank you, Mark Sands. Y'all are so amazing. I joined about an hour ago while y'all were saying bye, and here we are. Love you guys. We love you, Mark Sands.
I know, right, Mark Sands? It's because it's like, I'm like, go with the flow. I'm like, for a second there, I was like, you know what? I'm like,
thank you, Mark Sands.
There's so many different things. Let's cover Fallout. Let's cover Fallout because it's so crucial. Because we covered like Snowpiercer, which is very similar to Silo.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys are just not joining us, we've been covering different ways dystopia, like the future is seen as like a nightmare. And also we're begging the question, why is it that humanity thinks of all these nightmare scenarios for our future? Yeah. Why are we so creative in that way? And I think it's because you can just zoom in on all these societal answers to problems and how they can just, by solving one problem, you can create 100 others.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with, particularly in the areas of like convenience or things that seem like on the surface, very wholesome and innocent, like work-life balance. Like, okay, well, let's take that to its extreme levels. Mm-hmm. What does true work-life balance look like?
Yeah.
Is it really just like an illusion? And if we did truly achieve work-life balance, that would be another nightmare scenario, like Severance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or population control, something like Logan's Run, where there's always like an unintended consequence for achieving some level of societal control.
Right.
So for everything that we solve, we're going to create another, infinite number of terrible realities. And I think we're seeing that too with, ultimate surveillance. Like there are cameras everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell Mario, I'm like, I would just operate under the assumption that we're all being filmed at all times anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like whether we're not live or not, it's always assumed there's something recording me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not being broadcast to the public. Maybe it's being seen like by a government worker, and they're like screening,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just assumed that. And I think that's kind of in a way sad that there's that level of assumption of the surveillance state. But I think with things like Edward Snowden and other people, it's like they've kind of demonstrated that's just the reality that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Fallout. So it says it's time to roll December 17th. Is that this year?
No,
or is that last? Or is that's been out for a while?
Yeah, it's been. It's from 2024.
Oh, okay. So I didn't see this one clearly.
Yeah. So
tell me about Fallout, because I know this is a video game that was turned into a television show. I guess it didn't work though, right?
Not quite. I've heard of it, but I didn't. I don't think it took off ultimately. But it's about a future post-apocalyptic Los Angeles brought about by nuclear dissemination.
Mm-hmm.
Citizens must live in underground bunkers to protect themselves from radiation, mutants, and bandits.
I mean, it sounds like it's like also like the premise is like inherently like more like fun.
Yeah,
because it's like great for like having like an endless stream of like
cases.
Yeah, like example. Zombies or people who have been like radiated out or who are like threats that have been bred out of this chaotic future.
Yeah, I mean it sounds playful, in the sense that it can also be. I mean, it's from a video game, right? So it also can be. Let's say more familiar almost.
Well, it's like there are these video games. It's like you have hack and slash games, you have shooters, you have these different role playing games. Fallout, it seems like a natural progression for it to be turned into a series.
Yeah.
The execution is everything. So it's like if it has to be the right timing, all these different things have to align.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of that movie Borderlands that they came out with Kate Blanchett's in it, but it's like it didn't work.
Yeah,
it's like you could even just tell by the trailer. It's like there's something tonally, something visually about it didn't work. And that was a video game that was very successful, but the movie just didn't work.
Right.
So sometimes that's the case. But Fallout, that's a great, IP to mine for for different things.
Right.
But sometimes things turn out to be great, and it's all about the execution, baby. All about the execution.
Yeah.
It's like a great outfit. Like in theory, something can look good, but it's like, but pulling it off is another thing. Like the way you wear it, the way you carry yourself, the way the fabric hits on you. Go on.
Yeah, once it's like made, you almost to the point you can see how it would turn out, but you cannot ultimately until it's done, let's say.
Right.
So,
but I listen, I think it's great to keep trying to make these different things, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And I think Hollywood is struggling with like what do audiences truly want to see.
Right.
And what, how can we fulfill the needs of the audience? And that's why we're seeing a lot of misfires in terms of Hollywood. There are certain movies that just like aren't quite working. And that's definitely, you know, my experience has been like working, like what works, what doesn't work in terms of casting choices, in terms of the material. You know, one thing that seems to work again and again is horror, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it works across all, you know, all of society. Hey, Taman 2025, how are you?
Hey, Taman. Yeah.
He's in Texas. Hollywood is having an identity crisis. I think so, John Scott, but I also think it's a symptom of the time that we're living in. I actually think that it's, if you think about it, it's like totally to be expected. Like it's not like a surprise because I think society itself is having an identity crisis.
Yeah.
John Scott, would you agree? I think society itself, Hollywood is always like a mirror to society. Not always, not 100%. I think like it can maybe try to get ahead of society too quickly sometimes, or try to project its worldview or values onto the society. And society can sometimes push back against that. But I actually think now it's even bigger than that. It's more about like society in general is a bit disjointed. There's not one clear, you know, cohesive voice. Whereas it was easier at one point in the past to be like, we know this is going to work. Whereas now it's like Supergirl. It's like, it's almost like people were not going to stay on purpose. Like people were like, even if they like had for like, no, I don't want to support that for whatever reason. So, you know, I think things can be political just by existing too. Like you don't have to actually have a, you know, just by existing, things can be inherently political. And that's a kind of a fascinating topic that we're in. Society is crazy. Yeah, John Scott, I think that's where we're at in terms of like nothing is surprising. When you hear about stuff now, it's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe 50 years ago, people would be like what?
Yeah.
But you hear about things, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you know, everything that you say is being recorded and it's in a government database. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And so I think some of these movies not working, sometimes it's shocking if you're not paying attention. Like Moana, that Moana remake is doing like catastrophically bad. Like compared to the Lilo and Stitch remake, which they're both Hawaiian movies that are remakes. One, you know, just a year ago made over $1 billion, and this one has made less than a tenth of that. So what's going on in the box office in terms of our appetite, or does it have more to do with how much money we have to spend, how much time we have to spare, and you know, what are we making a conscious choice to not go see Moana because we're sick of the Disney remakes? There are a lot of people online who are saying that, who are making that argument. And I think that it's a very valid argument. To say that like we've seen enough of the remakes, we don't necessarily need another one. So no, thank you. And we're gonna all kind of withhold our dollars because we know that if we feed the beast, they're gonna just continue down the remake rabbit hole, and then we won't have any like more truly original product. So I think there's a compelling point to be made about that. You guys let me know if that's resonating with anybody.
I think so, and I think that's why you know, audiences are also very. We should listen to audiences. That's what I'm trying to say. Like maybe Hollywood is also, I don't know, I'm not sure, but maybe it's also overlooking that to some point, to a certain extent. But with again backrooms or obsession, we see that maybe audiences want to see, you know, something else. So I think that's an important component as well.
I definitely think that's like an anomaly of like so many people being on social media, but it's like they're not all speaking with one voice. It's like they all went out to go see it on an individualized basis.
Right.
Not necessarily thinking
we're
gonna like consciously make this an event. And maybe it still didn't even feel like an event. It just brought in the money. So I think the way we do marketing is just fundamentally changed. Thank you, Mark Sands. I can now spell confetti. Congratulations on learning how to spell confetti, Mark. Even without autocorrect or autocorrect. You're hilarious.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark Sands.
But definitely tonight, we're going to be continuing our Silo journey. So Silo is a television show on Apple Plus. We're not sponsored by them, but it's just a great case study of like how to do your dystopian fiction.
It is.
How to set up your story. And this week, Marino, we wrote a show, and it has a lot of parallels to this. And I'm like, dang. So these ideas aren't 100% original. It's just like part of the human psyche. This idea of like wanting to break free and to explore, I think it's also like the ascension of the soul too, which is that Plato or is that Aristotle?
I think it was Aristotle.
Yeah, I think it's Aristotle. But like the ascension of the soul, and there's a lot going on in this poster that's like probably like subconscious and like she's like there's a rebellion inherent there, right? It's like fighting against the system.
Yeah, so
it's all there.
If you guys want to watch it as well, we can discuss it maybe in future episodes. That would be interesting, right? But so far, the idea of a dystopian, society, future, and everything is.
Thank you, Mark.
Kind of, in everyone's mind, I think, and another thing too is that I think audiovisual media has helped develop it in a way that is so like striking because of the nature of filmmaking and stuff. Like it feels so close. I don't know how to explain it quite.
Yeah, like it feels like very familiar.
But yeah,
like it's not something that's so like disconnected. Because I think what's interesting is that some of these movies, it's like it feels like we're talking about the future.
Yeah,
and almost always they actually say it's the future.
Right.
But it's like they don't have to explicitly say it's the future. It's like they say there's an event that happened, and we automatically come to terms. Okay, they're describing a nuclear event, or they're describing something that feels like more like very plausible.
Yeah.
In terms of the state of the world that we're in.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he is good at playing an FBI agent, Sultan. That's hilarious. I've been accused of that because I get to live it around the world and discover and explore new things. So I've been accused of that. Where they're like, you do. I'm like, sure, absolutely. I'll be your spy. But I think, Mario, which future gives you the best survival odds? Or which one would you like, if you had to pick a dystopian future, which one would you live in? This is for the audience too.
Yeah, let us know, audience.
Question. If you had to live in one of these, crazy worlds, like which one would you live in?
Let me recall them a little bit. I think, let's say, I don't know, for example, Silo. It's just fresh on my mind. I do think that is good to some extent because
it's like they're all actually
inside the silo. They have like a stable life, let's say. I don't know if I would be good at obeying the laws and everything. Obeying. Or being under the.
If you guys are new here, don't forget to like the video.
Yes, please do so. Or being under the strict control of born
like Big Brother.
Yeah, exactly. But
and I think one thing too is that, like, for example, Rashida Jones' character in the pilot, like the lady who consults for fertility, like she runs the water so that they don't hear.
Yeah.
But Rashida Jones' character is surprised by that, and she's already like in her 40s.
Yeah.
So the fact that she's surprised indicates that if they are listening in, it's not like the people don't necessarily know that.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe only people in certain positions would know that. But maybe that's a plot hole because her husband's a sheriff, so it seems like he would know. But I think the series is gonna slowly peel back layers of the onion to like blow our minds.
Yeah.
Right. So whoa.
It also kind of reminded me of the concept. Yeah. It also kind of reminded me of the concept of Wayward Pines, another series.
Totally.
That kind of has to do with the idea of a society that is so enclosed and controlled that you cannot question it even.
Right.
Although I would say, thinking of like the worst outcome, for example, maybe those societies are not as bad as they might think. If I had to pick any,
right.
Like the idea of having to pick any, maybe that's not the worst outcome, let's say, because at least you have some sort of order or societal.
And which one? Wayward?
For example, Silo or societies or shows or movies that are under like a societal control. Let's say they seem less worrying than, for example, Alien. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think there are several of these concepts that like feel like more inherently scary or
Children
creepy.
of Men, for example, where everything is like ruthless and like there's Children of Men. Yeah.
So like the idea that it's like, I feel like that's scary though too, because the chaos implies like danger, right?
Yeah, that's
because like Julian Moore's character is killed off pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's
to highlight like anyone's game in this. Like you're in for a wild ride here.
Yeah, that's kind of like my point. Maybe like a societal unraveling would be more scary, let's say.
I think so. I think Silo actually seems like one of the safer versions. But I think that's why it kind of feels like maybe almost like comfortable, like spectacular, but like still like on some level comfortable.
And maybe only because of that reason I would pick Silo, let's say, if I had to pick any.
Like maybe it's better than like the Hunger. Like the Hunger Games, I think, is another one that's like, because if you get, I guess you have to be a child though to worry about it, because once you grow out of it, because they're only picking children for the Hunger Games, which is like particularly brutal.
Yes,
but it also makes sense because it's like to indoctrinate the people, and like anyone can be in game. For the Hunger Games
from an early age as well.
Right, but the Hunger Games, it's like almost like mild compared to what we're being fed now.
Right,
in terms of like these dystopian, worlds.
Yeah, I mean, WALL-E is also another option, right? Like just being in space.
Absolutely, people are always go back to WALL-E because WALL-E feels like, okay, like what do? We're all feeding the consumer, like we're giving the consumer what they want. So it's like we're in WALL-E land. We're just on Earth.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're on planet Earth, but I feel like we're already kind of in WALL-E world.
Yeah, it feels
which is like a fictional. Some people call Walmart WALL-E world. And then in the movie Vacation, that's where they go on vacation is WALL-E world. But you guys want to do one more super chat, and then our final one.
Which one would you pick?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Silo is a good example of one.
Right.
I think it's also like we like that level of discovery, but we may find out that it's so horrific we might later change our answer.
Right. No. Yeah.
So Silo, maybe saying Silo, which is it's an Apple Plus show.
Silo. Yeah. I mean, if you had to pick, I think it's like an option that makes sense because. Just because of the control, like just because of the societal stability, let's say. So that's
we're only on the first episode, so we don't know. So if you're already into the third season of Silo,
it can be like the worst.
We don't know
option.
What's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, I definitely wouldn't pick like Alien, let's say, right? Because the Weyland Corporation owns everything. Like everything is about. There's the level of societal greed, and people being indebted to the company forever, and then there's this alien threat. But they're both horrific in their own way.
Yeah.
So I think they've done a really good job of thinking these stories. I think in Logan's Run, at least they actually can escape from this bubble that they live in and get to the outside world, which is like the ultimate like living in in harmony with nature.
Yeah.
Which I guess reminds me of what is it, Ralph Waldo Emerson?
Oh yeah.
Like on Walden Pond, I was on whatever it is. It's like this idea of being in nature and like this. Are people still saying touch grass, or is that already falling out of?
No, it is still very.
Are we still saying touch grass?
Yeah.
Do you ever see that in debates? Are people saying go and touch some grass?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Today I touched some grass, and it was it was interesting, kind of being.
There's some truth to it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You definitely wouldn't want to, enclose yourself so much that you cannot open yourself back again, I think.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, it's like, what are the things that are inherently like welcoming to you, or, going to places like parks that feel like they're inviting and they give you a sense of optimism for the world.
Right. Right.
And, not kind of, because I think it's easy to view things through like a very critical lens, like the modern world. So you kind of look for the humanity in people, like what makes people feel good, or what's are we all, I think at the end of the day, we are striving for more pleasure.
Yeah.
But there's an argument that I recently heard. It's like the goal is not pleasure, it's happiness. Because the pursuit of like ultimate happiness is happiness.
Yeah.
But the pursuit of ultimate pleasure, it leads you to like rehab.
Yeah.
Because pleasure and happiness are two different things.
Yeah.
And that's why, I think that's a case being made in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World.
Yeah.
So Brave New World, it's like everyone is experiencing all these pleasures, but no one is truly happy. In fact, everyone is quite frankly miserable in Brave New World. And that's like a play that Brave New World again is Shakespeare. He's the one who coined that term, Brave New World.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you guys are here, don't forget to like the video.
Yeah,
we're so glad you're here. Thank you for, we're doing one more super chat for the night.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we can ask some other questions. For example, which future is already closest to reality, in your opinion?
Which future is already closest? I think WALL-E is very close. In terms of like the consumerism aspect of the constantly being entertained and like endless consumption or even mindless consumption.
Yeah. I think that there are some aspects of Brave New World as well, like the idea of, trying to feel good at all times or just abusing substances maybe, because there's always a new substance, right? Like there's always something.
Well, I think in a world, as a whole,
yeah,
like we're like fighting against drugs, but then what if you flip it on its head and it's like society is the one providing the drug? Yeah. So is the drug an allegory for like sugar? Or, what I mean? Is it, maybe it's something even, there's so many different ways to interpret the material, which is what's so beautiful about, the written word too. Novels allow for so many different, it's an infinite number of interpretations of the original source material.
Right. And Gizmo makes a good point.
Yeah. Ready Player One, that was good. Do you know what's so crazy about that? Is that the actor Ty Sheridan, he is from my little town.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So because people already use avatars and are self-absorbed in virtual reality. Totally. And I was like, the idea of having a floor that can move with you based on what you're being shown on the screen.
Yeah.
It's like this idea that, you could definitely get immersed in a game because it's like you're using all of your physical capacities, but you're actually still inside the game.
Right.
So it's like you have these bodysuits that are kind of giving you haptic responses that are congruent with what the gameplay that you're experiencing in that moment.
Yeah.
Like if somebody punches you, like you feel it, right?
Yeah.
And so if you grip things, like everything has, it's like they call it haptic feedback.
Yeah.
Where it's like a real life feedback to what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think Ready Player One Gizmo, that's a really good example. And also he's like, playing it, everyone's in their virtual world. That's like definitely like people being on their smartphones. But in that world, it's like already so far gone. Everyone's living among piles of trash. So yeah. That's a really good one, Gizmo. Very good example.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good in Mud. It's a great movie. Matthew McConaughey, he said that's one of the movies that he says his dad would have like been really proud of him. Because that movie came out after his passing. But he was saying his dad would have really loved that movie, Mud. There's a movie Mud, and it was like Reese Witherspoon's in it, Matthew McConaughey, and Ty Sheridan, the young actor who's in Ready Player One.
Yeah.
But isn't it funny how like movies, it's its own universe?
Yeah.
Because so many people don't even know about movies now because it's like there are so many of them.
True.
And so many of them just go into the radar. So it's like the exploration of going back to them can be, be unifying for the audience, and for other people, it's like, oh, I never heard about that. So hopefully we awaken some curiosity in people that have not seen some of these properties.
Yeah. Have you seen New York City lately?
No, Gizmo. I was thinking though, I really want to like, that's my dream place to like live. Because I think my last experience there was so magical, and Gizmo, seeing you was so magical. So I would love to go back to New York City. So Gizmo, if you'll have me, I would love to come visit. So let me know what's going on in New York City. Have there been any developments as of late?
Any affairs?
I've been avoiding like the doom and gloom news lately. Like if it's just like all like everything is getting worse, I've been which is kind of ironic because the title of this video, right? But I think there's something also kind of fun about skipping ahead to the past, like to the distant future, let's say, where it's like everything has gone terribly wrong. It's almost like it's playful because it's like we don't feel like we're going to have to fully experience that in our lifetimes, let's say.
Right.
So I think there's some level of that's going on. In terms of like, it's like reality television. It's like that's so bad. It's like, we won't have to deal with that, or I'm not that person. So there's like some weird level of Schadenfreude going on. Mark Stan says, never would have I thought you'd keep going to the level that y'all have on this stream, Brent, Mario, the best. Thank you, Mark Sands, for recognizing. Great recognizes great. Game recognizes game.
Real recognizes real.
Real recognizes real. And I also think, Mark Sands, too, that like this is like a challenge for us too to like see how much we can do. And so if you want to be our last super chat of the night, then we're gonna go get some rest. But yeah, this is like a challenge because I was telling Mario, and we have this conversation constantly, but like when you're tackling these different topics or you're talking about different things, it's inherently like freeing talking about it, and because we don't have like the town square like we used to either. You know, if I was back in the 1900s, I would probably be on a soapbox and be like, the end is near, the end is, you know, or whatever. I'd be giving some kind of a speech, or I'd be like the guy who's, you know, kind of like the character played by Sacha Baron Cohen and the Demon Barber, Sweeney Todd. You know, like he's like selling an elixir, but I wouldn't be selling something. But like the idea of giving a public speech in the town square is very appealing to me. I love that. I think there's something very like we need those town squares again. Like it wouldn't surprise me if like in a not too distant future, like communities do gather in like neighborhoods and they have their meetings and like, but everyone's like you know, has to go. And so it's like, you know, you might get a number and it's like, today is your day to speak. It's like, you know, so it's like, you know, having the bravery, the courage, I think, to speak your voice or your truth is kind of a revolutionary act. I'm not necessarily referring to me. I'm talking about just in general. And I think Gen Z, I want them to be able to use their voice to speak to their experience and to, you know, speak truth to power, all those good things. Right. So, all right, our final questions. Mark Sands, come through for us. Mark Sands, you've been our hero. And Bob, it was so sad losing Bonnie Tyler because I love that song. I need a hero. I'm holding out for a hero till the end of the night. It's such a great song. I love it.
I think this is a good question. Which dystopia might convince its citizens that it is a utopia?
Which dystopia might be able to convince its citizens that it's actually a utopia?
It's an interesting question.
I think Silo's one of them.
Silo, definitely.
Like, yeah, but I also think Wally in a way, because the people are so distracted. They're not even thinking about whether it's a utopia or not a utopia. So, and I think like no one's actually being actively oppressed, I don't think. But thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark. So seriously, you're amazing. But I would say like Wally, because I think it's so easy for everyone to kind of be tricked into thinking that their life is going the way they want. But at the end of the movie, like remember the guy that they played dun dun dun, like the music from 2001: A Space Odyssey, just because the guy is literally able to stand up. And so that idea of thank you again, Mark Sands, but the idea of it, like the future being so convenient that it's actually crippling physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, like in every way, because everything is done for you. So I think Wall-E is one of them, because I think that's already that way. I think probably all of them, depending on what the level, like what's the threat? You know, what is the controlling levers that are used in this dystopian world?
Right.
Thank you again, Marks. Truly.
Thank you, Mark.
And Gizmo, what were you going to say about New York City? Did he answer? Have you seen New York City lately? And I haven't. You know that some of the shows from New York, from Broadway, have actually closed. So like, Death Becomes Her has closed. And another one that I saw closed. I can't remember which one it was. But a lot of shows have closed on Broadway. So I was really glad to be able to go when I did. It was really lovely.
All
right.
Yes, Sultan, we are only on YouTube for now.
We're on YouTube for now. If you guys have any other platforms for us, suggest. Because I'm down to try new things. There was a girl at this little it's called Pine Barrel in our little hometown, and she was telling me, she's like, you got to get on TikTok, and I was like, I don't know. I might kind of feel silly, you know, because I wouldn't know, but it's the same thing, right? So I don't see why not. All right, you guys, thank you for watching. You guys go check out these movies. You can go rewatch the stream. The Silo on Apple Plus is really good. Alien, you know, Children of Men, Hunger Games, The Road, all these different things that show like kind of a grim future, you know, and we're constantly exploring why do we feel like these feel like almost like inevitable ways for society to go. And it's because we're inherently curious as to like where society is headed. Like, like all of our collective choices, where is that heading? Where is that moving? Or where is it inching our society towards? So thank you guys for being here. You guys have a good night, everybody. We love you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video before you go.
Please do so, guys. And thank you all for being
thank you, guys. In particular, thank you to Mark Sands and Keith PB House.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
John Scott as well. Yeah.
And John Scott. Yes.
Thank
John
you.
Scott. So much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye. Get some rest, everyone.